Hey, welcome in, everybody. This is the Underground Runaround. I'm your host, Brad Ross. We got our co-host back. He's back from whatever
A
that
little bit
is.
of the COVID.
Yeah, Pav Daddy is back and healthy. And we have our
Yeah.
first professional athlete on the show tonight. It's an honor to welcome you in, sir. This is Brewers prospect Nick Bennett. Nick, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
It's super cool to have you on, man. So, you're a baseball guy. We're baseball guys.
Huge baseball guys.
We're just gonna talk baseball. So anybody
Let's do
who's
it.
expecting, we might ask you some sports cards questions along the way
Sure.
because that's a big thing
Absolutely.
with what we do. But I mean, you don't get to pick pro ball players' brains too often. So, and I'm sure you're still learning the game too. You know, especially
I'm learning the game every single day. No
And,
doubt about it. That's why baseball is such a beautiful game. There's so much to learn and so many different people to pick their brains and understand so many different aspects of the game. So
I want to start from the beginning. But before that, I was watching something. So Pav sent me a clip of yours from something
Yep.
else you had done in the media, and
Sure.
you said that when you watch baseball, you only watch the pitcher, or you do watch the batter too.
You
but
focus on the
You're
pitcher.
focused on the pitcher,
I watch the game, but I'm mainly focused on the pitcher.
and you said you prefer to watch on a TV rather than be at the game.
Absolutely.
Is that so you can focus in on that a little bit more?
I think there's a different aspect of sitting at a game and watching a game and sitting at home in front of your TV and watching a game. Sitting at a game is fantastic. I love watching baseball in person, although I don't get to do that often. Obviously, I'm playing, so I don't
Right.
get to do that a ton. But I like doing that. But being at home and sitting down and turning on ESPN and having a baseball game on and just being able to focus in on the pitcher and see I like to be very pinpoint on certain things that the pitchers are doing. I like to focus on that type of stuff just to see if I can gain an edge in any way, shape, or form. Maybe not even gain an edge, but just see something new that I haven't seen before or learn something just from watching the game. I think you can learn a lot from watching and playing the game, so that's why I like to watch it on TV a lot as well as play it. So.
Of course. And then my second question before we actually start, because I want we read into you a little bit, and we know that
Absolutely.
you're a high school state champion. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so we're gonna go through all of that. But the other thing
Sure.
was, I saw that you play video games. Or I read
Huge-
I read in an interview. So you're a
Huge
big.
video games guy. Yeah.
Are you still a Fortnite guy?
I literally just stopped playing Fortnite 20 seconds before I hopped on here. I was probably playing it I've literally been playing it since I got home from the field, so it's been about 5 hours so far. And once we're done, I'm sure I'll be back at it.
So do
I
you
just
make
finished the game.
yeah? Pav's a big Fortnite guy.
I'm a huge
As far
Fortnite
as
guy.
the genre goes, I'm a little more partial to Apex Legends.
Okay, so I've played Apex before too. I've played
It's-
Call of Duty as well. I've played some sports games as well. What got me into Fortnite was when I was in college at University of Louisville. That's when the game became really big,
Sure.
and I was playing on an Xbox, and I think it only came out on PlayStation to begin. And so I was playing on my roommate's PlayStation all the time. And eventually he was just like, dude, come on. Like, I want to play my own video games. I'm like, all right, you're right. So with the help of my mother, because I was in college, I actually bought my PlayStation from a teammate strictly to play Fortnite. And I'm using that same PlayStation and still play Fortnite to this day. Back in college, my teammates and I, that's what we did for fun. When we were sitting in our houses after practice and working out and done with homework, that is literally what we did all night, play Fortnite for as long as we could remember.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Where's your drop spot?
Well, now that Tilted Towers is back in the game, I have literally not dropped anywhere else.
That's real sweaty, dude. You're probably pretty damn good at the game if you're dropping there.
I'm not. I'm absolutely not that great. I'm just starting to get back into Fortnite and get all my buddies back into it. I think Tilted Towers is bringing some people back into the game, so that's kind of what got me back into the game, honestly. So I probably took like a 2-year break from it, honestly, where I just played Call of Duty and some sports games. And then probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, my buddy asked me to play one time. So I re-downloaded the game and now I'm hooked on it again.
So, being who you are, not that you're, you know, a superstar or anything like that, but just,
Absolutely.
you know, you have a bigger social media following than my business, you know, and my
Sure.
business, for, you know, not to brag or boast or anything, but it's getting close to a 7-figure sales business.
Awesome.
So you have a following, and I'm not here to give you advice or anything like that, but if you play that and you like it and you have the time to do it, have you ever thought about like creating content?
So a lot of my teammates have told me I'd be fantastic for streaming, just because I can talk and I'm a pretty funny guy for the most part. So I feel like I could bring some good content to people. I don't know. I just like kind of playing it with my friends and whatnot, and I haven't really thought that deep into it. But I've had a lot of people suggest that to me, so that might be something I have to look into for sure.
It's something I mess with a little bit. Streaming is incredibly different than just like editing
It
a
is.
video.
I couldn't agree more. I have a good amount of teammates and friends that actually do stream. And they've told me it takes a lot. So
I'm like reasonably good at the show, the baseball
Okay.
video game, like
Yep.
fairly good. But to stream, and I could bring some viewers, not a ton, but enough people to
Sure.
watch me where the chat is messing me up. And the way that game's evolved, it's so like you have to play on a gaming monitor if you want to have a
you
chance,
do.
you
And
know.
that's the other thing. I'm just playing on a PlayStation and a TV. I feel like if I were to stream, I need to hop on a monitor.
You
because
have
those-
to. Yep.
Yeah.
The dudes who are streaming and killing me left and right are moving at a
Oh,
so
yeah.
much faster pace than I am.
Yep. Apex, that's the thing with Apex. It's just punishing enough that when you do good and have a good game, it feels like you're the best player on earth.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So when
I feel like that in Fortnite too.
So
Oh.
you get that one footage of a game and you got 6 or 7 kills and everything went right and you got the W, and it's like, oh wow.
Exactly. It's a
Wow,
good
because
feeling. It's
I
a
just
really
spent
good
all these
feeling.
hours just getting wiped out.
Right.
Yeah. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and we have very limited internet options and stuff.
Yep.
So like my ping is always really terrible. And like
Mine-
every now and then I'll have a good ping and I'll have a good
Right.
game, and I'll just be like, man, if I could ever get some internet around here.
It's a good feeling when the ping's running really low, isn't it?
You know, and low for me, if I'm running like 40 or 50, that's excellent.
That's what I can that's what I've been playing on here. I've been on 40 or 50. I also have an Ethernet cord that I carry with me anytime I travel.
Yes.
And luckily I'm in an Airbnb that has a internet router for me, and I just plug my Ethernet cord into the
Nice.
back of it, and
Yep.
it speeds it up a little bit for me. So
The first thing I did when I bought this house and I set up down here in my office is I drilled a hole straight in my floor and started running cables.
it's brilliant. You really kind of have to. Good Wi-Fi is tough to come by nowadays, I swear.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the biggest issue I have here is like I live in a house, but I pay for like business class internet because
Absolutely.
I need to be able to upload, and I'll have a gigabyte download speed, and for gaming, you know, it's the same way. The upload speed's
Right.
what's important, and my upload will just go
Absolutely.
terrible. I'll be
I-
midstream, and it's just I just sit there and watch it go red and green and red and green. I'm like, come on.
that can't be a good feeling.
It literally gives me anxiety while I'm like breaking.
I feel like it would give me anxiety.
Like, we just have to ride this out, friends. I'm sorry. So, let's get into it, dude. You're here to talk about
Absolutely.
baseball. I could talk about
Let's
video
do it.
games all day.
I can talk about video games all day too.
But baseball, man. So let's just, when did you start? How old were you?
So I've been playing baseball since I was 4 years old.
Fantastic.
Been playing for a long time. My family's a huge sports family. My dad played football at University of Cincinnati.
Awesome.
My mom was on the dance team at Ohio University, and my sister played high school volleyball. And we're all pretty tall people for the most part, so that obviously helps with a little bit of athletic ability as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, shout out to your mom, by the way. That's
Absolutely, thank
that's-
you. I appreciate that.
that's up to you to talk about. But we were on, we were trying to do our research
Sure.
and we saw that. That's
Sure.
huge. That's an unfortunate situation with a fantastic
was.
outcome. So
Absolutely, yeah. My mom, she's definitely the toughest person on earth that I know, and she handled the whole situation with nothing but grace and strength, and we're just very happy to have her back running normal life and enjoying herself again. So
that's awesome. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. I don't have parents or anything like that, so to hear the stories are fantastic.
Thank you.
My youngest daughter, she has this crazy thing called Turner syndrome,
Okay.
and essentially what it is not so much after birth, but
Yep.
during the pregnancy, they say only around 2% of babies survive to childbirth.
Wow.
So
That's
the fact
incredible.
that we got her here is amazing.
Awesome.
So
that's
we have a
fantastic.
we have the feel good story too. It's great. She's the sweetest
Awesome.
little human. Everything's good.
That's amazing. I love that for
So
you. That's awesome.
I love hearing the good stuff too. So when I saw that right away, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This guy's got it
Thank
going
you.
on. He's blessed and all of that. So
Absolutely.
4 years old, big time sports family. That's amazing because again, I'm the exact opposite. No bad childhood. No, I didn't get to play organized baseball until
Okay.
the summer before my freshman year of high school.
Gotcha.
So it was a lot different, and we won the Little League state title. It was very cool.
That's a good feeling. That's a great feeling because I never won mine. We always got beat. So
we were the weird thing about us is we were the age group above what was on TV. Of course, we're in the junior league on the big field.
Sure.
But we won state, and we had to go all the way down to Jeffersonville, Indiana, which is right by
I know
Louisville.
where Jeffersonville. Yep, it's literally right across the bridge.
So that's 5 hours from my house up here in Northwest Indiana.
What town are you in up there?
I live in Hobart, which is
I've heard of that.
one town over from Gary, Indiana, which they have
I know where Gary is.
They have an independent team over there. Called
awesome.
the Railcats.
Yeah, I know that independent team. I actually played indie ball in 2020, so
awesome.
I know a little bit about the independent leagues for sure.
Yeah, it's a good time, and it's a totally different thing to explain to like people that those organizations like have to turn a profit to be around.
They really do.
Like
those
the battles they have. Yeah,
are some of the hardest working people I've ever come encounter with, no doubt.
Was that just part of because of the COVID thing that you played indie ball?
Yeah, so obviously 2020 there was our minor league season got canceled, and the Florence Yalls, which is in the Frontier League, which is an independent league, is about 35 minutes from my house, and luckily at the time I was able to get in contact with a coach and get an okay from the Brewers and signed off on some paperwork to be able to do that, just to get some innings in and see some live hitters and whatnot, because I mean literally a lot of guys got no baseball in, so that was just something to help me with my development, getting on the mound and not missing a whole year. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. I'll bet that's pretty cool. Like for the guys on that team, you know, all of a sudden you get this guy, big lefty. It's like, oh, we're gonna win some games.
That's right.
There we go.
I actually remember I started on opening night and the stadium was packed. I had like 100 family and friends at the game, so because it's pretty close to my hometown, so it was a really cool experience to have all my friends and family at the game when I was pitching and stuff, because obviously I don't really get that all the time. So
was that your professional debut then?
No. So when I got drafted in 2019, I went to rookie ball, and then and that was at the time in Colorado Springs. And I was in rookie ball for like a month, and then I got moved up to low A, which was in Appleton, Wisconsin, and finished the year in Appleton. And then we went to spring training in 2020, and then we got cut off, and that's when I played indie ball.
Right. I didn't know if you had gotten any time in post-draft.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because some players do, and some don't, you know?
It just depends on how many innings you get, really, or like what position you're playing, or what their kind of plan is for you. So I was lucky enough to get to pitch a little bit when I got drafted in 19.
you guys went really far in college that year, right?
Yeah. Went to Omaha in 2017 and then again in 2019 as well, which is, for people who may not know, it's the final 8 teams in college baseball. And it's a really cool and well put on tournament in Omaha. Probably the best baseball experience I've ever had in my life to this point, for sure. So very, very blessed to be able to do that twice and get to start a game twice in Omaha was really cool as a freshman and then as a junior as well. So
yeah, that's awesome. Hopefully it's not the biggest moment though. You know what I mean?
Hopefully it's not.
But that's very cool, man.
Yeah, so far it definitely is up there.
Absolutely. So, were you always bigger than everybody growing up?
Yeah.
Being a tall guy, coming from a tall family?
I have always been bigger than everybody. I was about I wasn't actually the same size as I am now, but it sure felt that way when I was younger. I played football, basketball, and baseball when I was younger. Like I said, my dad played football at University of Cincinnati. He played basketball in high school, played hockey in high school, and played a little bit of baseball as well. So I was very into those 3 sports for sure. I was definitely more into basketball and football than I was baseball at the beginning. Baseball really kind of turned my mind once I got to high school.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, for me, basketball was, especially living in Indiana, and at the time I lived in the middle of nowhere.
It's the biggest basketball state in America.
That's all I wanted to do was go to Notre Dame and play basketball. Sure. Problem was, I was always brought up as a big man, and when I stopped growing in 6th grade, I was 6 foot, and that was it. And all of a sudden, I have all the tools a big man needs, and none of the size to go with it.
Right.
So that's when I'm like, I can't even go to college to play basketball.
Right.
So I'm like, I better learn how to. But I didn't have the opportunity to play baseball either. So right before I got in, it was cool. We got to go down to Jeffersonville and win the state tournament, and then we go to the regionals, which is right before the Little League World Series, and that was in Fort Wayne, which was way closer.
Yeah. So I know where Fort Wayne is too.
So we had to play another team, Indiana, because the host city gets to have their team.
Their own team. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So
here we are thinking we won. We're Indiana, and like, no, you got to play the other Indiana team right out of the gate. We won, but it was wild.
That's awesome.
Did you play any like travel ball baseball, or was it strictly like Little League and stuff?
No, I played travel ball. I played for an organization called Midland, which is in Cincinnati. Actually, it's walking distance from my house, literally. So
cool.
I played there when I was younger, from about the age of I think I was 12 or 13 through 18. So before I went to college.
Was that like AAU?
Kind of. It's more just like travel baseball. We kind of played in all kinds of different tournaments and whatnot, all over the country. We played I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but the Connie Mack World Series, which is in Farmington, New Mexico. That was like the big tournament that Midland went to. So I played in New Mexico. We played in Georgia. We played in all the surrounding states of Ohio. We played in Indiana, Kentucky as well. So,
at what point did you stop playing other sports and solely focused on baseball?
My freshman year, I went to Archbishop Moeller High School, which I don't know if you guys know, it's pretty prestigious.
It sounds like a fancy school.
It's an all boys Catholic high school. Pretty prestigious in academics and sports, and so I played 3 sports my freshman year: basketball, baseball, football. I stopped playing football after my freshman year and played basketball and baseball my sophomore year, and then junior and senior year I played just baseball.
Pretty much same here.
So it was kind of eliminating a sport as the year went on, pretty much.
Yeah. Going to a private Catholic school. Was it a private school? I'm sorry.
Yes, it was.
So for like games and things like that, you had to provide all your own transportation and whatnot?
So we had buses.
Okay.
We had buses that we would take. But when we would play like a home baseball game, we would be able to drive our car to the game or whatever we needed to do. But we had buses as well. So
we have in the I graduated from the high school I live in, so I didn't get to get away. I want to get away now that I'm not doing what I was doing
Right.
for a career. But
Right.
in our conference, we have a Catholic high school, Andrean High School. They're an absolute powerhouse of baseball in Indiana. Like I think my junior year, they sent 7 kids Division I. They're literally the best players from our area end up there.
My junior year at Moeller, we had 19 guys committed to play college baseball on the team.
That's fantastic.
So,
that was the place to go. They just had a kid. He's at Vanderbilt now, Michael Doolin.
Okay, I've heard that name actually.
I played against his brother, but he ended up breaking all the records on planet Earth. I think he struck out 17 kids in a state championship game.
That's incredible.
Andrean's so good that they are a small school by number standards,
right.
And they added some competition factor in the state of Indiana. So if you win, they move you up to the next class.
I like that.
So
I actually like that.
For baseball, Andrean, I believe, has to play at the top, and they still win every.
Right.
They just go down to state and take the title.
That's kind of how we won our state championship game my junior year, like 16-2. We run rolled the team.
Wow.
So, and we're Division I, but yeah, we run ruled in the championship, and that was just a testament to our team and how many guys committed to play college baseball.
Yeah, that's crazy. What's that like to be able to play with that much talent that early on?
It was very cool. I actually pitched in the semifinals, and the team we played in the semifinals had like 4 or 5 commits and was
arguably a better team.
It was definitely the better team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The team we played in the championship had some commits too, but they ran out of power against us. We were the powerhouse in baseball that year for sure. So.
In Ohio, is it just a 1-game final too?
One game final. Yes, sir.
So weird for baseball. You know what I mean? So weird.
Were you always a pitcher, or like?
Yeah. So at my high school, freshmen usually play on the freshman team. That's how that kind of works. I don't know if you guys probably don't know, but we have some really deep baseball history at my high school. Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Larkin, some other pretty big names attended my high school. So the competition has been great always. And so my freshman year, they actually put me on the JV team, but they told me, they were like, hey, if you're going to be on the JV team, you're probably not going to hit. So I stopped hitting basically my freshman year of high school. So,
what position did you play on the field before that?
First base or right field.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So tall, good arm. First and right field.
First and right field.
And he's left-handed.
Exactly.
How often did you try to play shortstop?
Not once.
Did you ever try and sneak over there during infield or anything like that?
Not once. My dad's a pretty hard-nosed dude, and when it was time to practice and get down to business, there was no messing around. So I didn't really get to ever attempt to play shortstop or third base or anywhere like that.
Oh man, they didn't let you have any fun, huh?
Nah, not a ton of fun when I was younger, but I'm thankful for it now.
Absolutely.
Back at it, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. My dad was very hard on me, but in a great way, and I really do appreciate that the way he went about things in sports when I was younger, for sure.
Building character, man. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, he definitely did that. He put a lot of toughness into me. I'm not afraid to say he made me cry a lot when I was playing sports.
Hey.
But he built a pretty good kid in my opinion, and definitely has helped me out a lot for sure. So
right. So
that's awesome.
I love hearing that, because I just feel like not enough people get challenged enough.
I agree. I think our world is getting extremely soft as the years go on, and I will stand by that for as long as I live because I've seen it firsthand, and I'm sure you guys have seen it firsthand too. But compared to how my dad used to go about things when I was younger, I literally rarely ever see that with any youngsters like seventh, eighth grade into high school anymore. I give pitching lessons at a facility back home in Cincinnati during the off season when I'm
Sure.
at home. So I work with a lot of kids in that age range, seventh, eighth grade into high school. And so I never once took a pitching lesson a day in my life when I was
Right.
that young. It was literally, I was just in the backyard throwing with my dad. And eventually, once I started playing for Midland, that was basically like my pitching lessons. So just seeing like some of the parents walk into the facility and see how they handle their kids when their kids aren't doing great, it's a little mind-boggling sometimes, to be honest with you. But I kind of expect that nowadays. So
it is unfortunate though, because exactly like you said, there's times when you cried. So like,
yeah,
that's
there
people
were
want to look
definitely-
at that in the moment as a bad thing, but
they
literally,
do. And
it's-
especially my mom. My mom hated it.
oh, I could imagine. I could imagine.
My mother was not a fan of it, but I think she's okay with it now. So
But now when you face adversity,
exactly.
how bad is it? It's probably not so bad.
It's really not. When I have
Right.
when there's adversity in front of me on like the baseball field or just in life in general, I usually, in my opinion, I usually have a pretty good plan of how I'm going to handle it or what I'm going to go about it to take care of it.
Because you have the experience, friend.
Exactly.
The experience.
Exactly.
That's amazing. So I for you to say that, I honestly I wouldn't have pegged you as a guy to say that, but
yeah.
That's great to hear because
And
I'm 100% with you.
All my friends can attest to that because when I was in grade school, I went to a Catholic grade school, and so I played a lot of my friends that I'm still friends with to this day. I played in grade school, and they all say the same thing, dude. Your dad was so hard on you, but it's worked out great for you, and I'm sure you're super thankful for that, and I really am, and I tell him that a lot because. Just like I said, seeing kids and parents nowadays being almost 25, being able to develop my own opinions and whatnot now, and so yeah, there's a big difference for sure.
And I don't want any specific examples or anything at all like that, but just even for him, I can't imagine it was the easiest thing for him to do to push you. You know, being that that's your kid,
no doubt.
you know.
I think.
But he knew.
I think he just knew.
He knew, right?
He knew what I was capable of in sports when I was at a young age. And I think that's where it pretty much came from. I mean, he didn't just treat me like that in sports too. Like around the house, I was a big chores kid, no doubt about it. Cutting grass when I was a youngster. I don't do that anymore because I'm my own person now. But but when I was a youngster, he'd boss me around, and I would be doing a lot of stuff around the house for sure. So
yeah, that's awesome. So at what point during high school did you start? Because obviously you went to a powerhouse program. So when did you know that you were going to the next level, at least in terms of college?
So I actually took an unofficial visit to the University of Louisville my summer of 8th grade.
Okay.
So going into my freshman year, that had to do with the travel ball program that I played for, Midland.
Sure.
All of our coaches had college contacts everywhere. So I don't know if you guys know this, but recruiting nowadays is getting younger and younger. Like 7th and 8th graders are like getting recruited on the regular now. It wasn't
signing letters of intent. It's getting crazy.
It wasn't exactly like that when I was in 7th or 8th grade, but when I first took my first unofficial visit to the University of Louisville with my parents, and I got to see the facilities and meet the coaches and everything, that's kind of when it set in for me that, you know, baseball was going to be something for me and something I wanted to pursue and to really put my head down and work hard at. So that's kind of when it all started, definitely. I got my first college scholarship my freshman year of high school to University of Wofford.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's in South Carolina, maybe.
I've heard of it just because I'm sure I've got seen the letters or things like that too.
It was a smaller Division I school, but I was a freshman in high school and I didn't even have college on my mind at the time. So for that to happen was like a kind of a wake me up type deal, and so that's kind of when I knew baseball was going to be something important to me.
It's just got to be a good motivating factor
it
too.
Is. It definitely was. I also learned like a good routine in terms of like the gym and like eating and all of that. I learned that pretty early for the most part. So that just like you said, it just motivated me to be able to get where I am today. So
that's a fantastic point, because I want to assume that your dad was a big reason for at least for the exercise and the diet part of things, because
100%.
What there's that saying, what the $500 bat can't fix a terrible diet. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And let me tell you, I had a lot of $500 bats when I was a youngster. So I know all about the I need a new bat. And nothing. Like, yeah, I was that immature kid at one point too. Like, hey, Dad, this bat's not working. I need a new one.
But not only that, just like on the parent side of things, and the how specialized kids, and due to the early recruiting, everybody's starting to specialize in sports early, and you have
they are.
You have 7U, 8U baseball teams, and these kids got $2,000 worth of gear, and they're eating cheeseburgers and stuff. Like, okay, there's a billion problems here to me, because the kid doesn't get 100%. To be a kid. But if that's what you want to do, like, at least feed them, give them the right fuel.
I agree. I mean, I attest that to part of how I look today. I mean, I have been eating the right stuff for the most part since I was about in 7th, 8th grade. So that's just a routine I built, really.
You're doing velocity work right now. Now, yes, when you were that young, was that ever like a thought process that you guys were actually focusing on back then?
Never once in my mind, my coach's mind, my dad's mind was that like something that we were focused on at the time. There's a lot of guys out there who throw 100 but can't throw a strike. So,
right.
Our focus was having fun, working hard, and doing whatever I was doing at 100% all the time. So with whether that was baseball, basketball, or football, didn't matter. But that was never really a focus for me, like how hard I was throwing. Yeah, when I was a youngster, like I was usually the guy throwing harder than everybody else for the most part. But I can tell you this, I'm definitely not that guy anymore. So I kind of have to do some different things to be able to be successful in the game of baseball today compared to what I was doing when I was a youngster.
Where do you sit on the gun right now?
Last year I was pretty much 88 to 91, touch 92 or 93 for the most part. But
is your curveball your best pitch?
So I actually don't throw a curveball anymore.
Really?
I am a strict slider, change-up, sinker guy now. Yeah. And I'm actually working on a fourth pitch. I'm working on a cutter this offseason. So
is the reason for that maybe you like give it? Do you tip it at all?
So it's not that I tip it. So obviously you guys know baseball is huge into analytics nowadays.
Yeah, it's nothing like right.
It's eat, sleep, and drink analytics. So once I got to the Brewers, we obviously sat down and looked at some analytics. And so my first year in pro ball, I threw the curveball and got away with it. And then last year, I started the year in high A, Wisconsin, in Appleton. So low A was originally Wisconsin in 2019, and then 2021 they flipped it. It went to high A in Wisconsin, and low A was in North Carolina. So I was in Wisconsin in high A for the first 3.5 weeks of the season, and then I got moved to double A. And once I got moved to double A, my curveball just started getting tapped around a little bit. And so I'm not like a straight over the top guy. There's a little 3/4 to it. And
sure.
That's how I kind of create some good sink on my fastball. So we eventually kind of blended the curveball into a slider, and now I throw like a very true slider, and it's my best pitch for sure. I'm able to throw it whenever I want, which makes things a lot easier for me. But yeah, so the curveball that was my pitch in college. I also feel like as the years go on, my arm slot just moves down just a little bit. So that kind of played into a factor as I wasn't really getting on top of my curveball.
Sure.
I was kind of on the
getting
side
around
of
it,
which
right?
I was getting around it, which eventually just turned it into a slider.
And
anyway,
if you got that ironed out, that sounds
exactly.
great. With you not lighting the gun up, do you throw a 4-seamer or like a 2-seam?
I don't. So I only throw 2-seamer because
The move.
I have it's a sinker for the most part.
Sure.
Right.
It's not really sometimes it'll run, but for the most part I get some pretty good dip and sink to it. So that is something that once I got to the Brewers, which I love that they did, the 4-seam just wasn't really benefiting me in any serious way compared to what the 2-seamer was doing. So they were kind of like, let's just focus on the 2-seamer and try and turn it into a sinker. And it's still a work in progress, no doubt about it. I've only been throwing the 2-seamer for one full season. And there's some inconsistencies with it for sure. I don't get it to sink every time, but that's what we're working towards.
What do you throw when you need to get a strike? With all the development stuff going on, do you like?
That's the thing about me is I'm able to throw anything in any count pretty much.
That's awesome.
And I'm perfectly comfortable flipping a changeup in at 3-1 or flipping a slider in at 3-0. And hitters hate you for that. They absolutely hate that stuff. But also baseball is evolving to where 3-0 is a hitter's count, and guys are taking hacks 3-0 no matter where the ball's at. So I mean, I'm not just going to flip in a 2-seamer for them to just take over the fence. So
we're Cubs fans, being in from where we're from. No offense, but
respect that.
Javi Baez is the perfect example of a guy that when you watch him, he's guessing a lot.
Exactly.
A lot.
I'm sure when he's got a 3-0 count, he is absolutely licking his chops for a fastball to come. And so that's not how I pitch. When I'm 3-0, I'm either going to have to focus and really locate a good fastball, or I'm not afraid to throw a changeup or a slider in there either. So
what kind of speed difference are you seeing between like your changeup and your fastball right now?
So my changeup is about 79 to 81, 82, and my fastball is like 89 to 92. So I get a pretty good drop off from my fastball to my changeup.
Are you throwing like a circle change or?
Yeah, it's a true circle change. Like I throw it with the circle on the ball. So it's a true circle change with some pretty good fade to it for the most part.
Any problems with blisters or anything?
No, I've actually been blessed enough. I usually have a lot of calluses on my hands for the most part from like lifting in the off season and whatnot. So I usually have, knock on wood, but I have yet to have to deal with a blister issue. But I've had plenty of teammates who have had to deal with that. And
I know with like sinker, it can be a little bit more of an issue because you're got the pressure with the one finger a little more.
Exactly,
and stuff like that.
It can cause whatever pitch you are throwing, you're obviously putting more pressure on a certain finger or focusing on a certain finger more than another. So like blisters happen, and I've had a lot of teammates who've had to miss starts or sit out because of blisters and had to wait for it to heal. So that's definitely a real thing for a pitcher in baseball.
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing in college? So we kind of skipped a lot.
Yeah,
and then...
no, we can file back to that. No
this
doubt.
is the runaround, man. We'll be all over the place.
Absolutely, and that's completely okay. College in general taught me a lot. I was on my own for the first time. Had to do my own laundry, cook my own meals, the whole 9 yards, take my own garbage out, do everything. So it was a great growing up experience for me in just in general. And then playing college baseball at University of Louisville for Coach Mack was nothing short of what I ever would have imagined. It was incredible. Like I said, my freshman year, I got to pitch in Omaha. My junior year, I got to pitch in Omaha. And not a lot of guys get to even say they pitched once in Omaha. So
Right.
A fantastic opportunity and experience for me. So I was at Louisville from 2017 to 2019, and then I graduated college online while I was playing pro ball. Let me tell you,
Nice.
that was a sight to see for a lot of guys. I'm sitting on a bus at like 3 a.m. connected to my hotspot on my phone, like typing a paper or something to
Yeah.
help myself graduate from college. But
Good for you
that
though
was
to finish the
that was
degree up.
that was something I promised my mom and dad when I
That's
decided
awesome.
to leave. When I decided to leave school my junior year, because that's leaving 1 year early.
Right.
So that is something I promised. And when I left school, I just continued taking online classes. So I never like got out of school mode really, which a lot of guys do, and they're like, "I'll come back to school,"
And
which
you don't.
it doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
For
You
some
don't.
guys, it does who are disciplined enough to go back to school. But I think I did it the right way, just hammering it out while
Yeah.
I was in school mode already, which definitely benefited me because now I'm completely done with school. I'm graduated. I have a degree.
In? What's it in?
I got a major in sports administration, and
Cool.
then I got a minor in communications. Now, that's not the toughest thing to be graduating in, but given all the hours I was spent playing baseball and doing other things in college, it is a big accomplishment for me and something my parents are very proud of for sure.
Yeah.
Were you drafted out of high school?
I was drafted out of high school my senior year by the San Francisco Giants, but it was in the 40th round,
Right.
and it was almost. It was almost like they call it a comp pick, like a compliment pick, kind of.
Yeah.
The Giants were done with their draft at that point, and kind of just picked me to be able to say it happened, type of deal. We never talked about money or anything. They called me and congratulated me and wished me the best of luck at school, and said if it comes back around my junior year, then and if I was there when they wanted to get me, then they would. But it ended up not working out that way, but I'm with the Brewers now, and I've loved every second of playing with this organization. So,
Did you so when did you know that you were going to get drafted? Like I assume you knew like sometime during your junior year, like or
Yeah.
maybe even going into it.
So once I got to college, I didn't ever know I was getting drafted. I never wanted to give myself that mindset because
Right.
that's when
Get
you get
complacent.
complacent and you get a little lazy and whatnot. So I never really had like our coach always preached to us, like if you're able to not think about the draft and focus on what you're doing, then the rest of it'll play out itself. And I really tried to lock it in on that, and I think I did a pretty good job of that. But like my from my freshman year through my junior year, there were scouts at the games, always watching me throw with a gun behind home plate and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I knew the opportunity was there. I just never wanted to tell myself it was there until it actually happened. And then my junior year, I met with every MLB team in a scout meeting. I met with a scout from each team, and
Okay.
that's kind of when I knew it was a good chance for it to happen. And then eventually the draft came around, and my name got called. So it was a very very awesome experience for me.
Did the draft take place during the College World Series?
It did. It wasn't during the College World Series. It was prior to the College World Series.
I know it's usually right around that time.
Yes, definitely around that time. But I was in Louisville when it happened. My parents and my family members made the trip to Louisville. I think
Awesome.
it happened like in the middle. Like we had practice one day. We were done with school at this point, so we practiced in the morning, and then
Right.
and then we would go home and watch the draft or sit in like our Omaha room, which is like our team meeting room, and watch all of our teammates get drafted and congratulate them and do all that. So I was actually sitting at my house watching it with my family members and my friends and my teammates. And that's obviously a really cool feeling when my name did get called. Everybody's clapping and hugging and whatnot. So it was a very cool experience for sure.
Did you get like a phone call or any sort of notice ahead of time, or did you like have to watch it happen?
No, I got a notice ahead of time from my advisor at the time. He had told me like, "Hey Nick, it's going to happen right here." And sure enough, we were watching on TV, and as soon as we hung up the phone, it happened. So I got not a big notice, but I did get a notice that it was going to happen.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
It was definitely one of the coolest experiences of my life as well in baseball for sure.
Yeah.
I'm glad we talked about all the hard work it took. You know,
right.
It's going to be good for the young kids to see, kind of get a good idea of what it
for
takes.
any of the youngsters that do see this or watch this. I feel like I did a good job and I think this is a testament to my teammates and my coaches. We were a great group together. So being able to just put our heads down and focus on the one goal of winning baseball games really just helped everything else just go smoother and just play itself out, really. So,
because I have to assume that you're kind of in the same position now. So now you're drafted, and while you were in college, obviously the goal is to get drafted. And at the point you knew you were getting drafted, coach says, "Hey, let's stay focused on the goal, the task at hand. Yep. We have work to do here. Right. Let's do that." But now you're drafted. Now you're in the minor leagues, and now the goal is to get to the major leagues.
100%.
So how do you stay focused on the developmental side of it? How do you stay locked in every day when I'm sure you have to think about pitching in Miller Park whatever they're calling it nowadays?
It is such a routine now that I've gone through very serious college baseball at University of Louisville, where we were my two teams that went to Omaha are definitely two of the best teams to ever run through Louisville for sure, in my opinion, and I think other guys would agree with that. So just me being in that routine from when I was a freshman in college until now it's been the same thing. Keep your head down, focus on what you need to do. You can't control anything else but what I do, and just kind of let everything else play itself out. So now I believe 100% the opportunity will be there for me one day. Like if you're a minor league guy and you don't believe that,
absolutely,
that's not going to benefit you in any way, shape, or form. I do believe my chance will be there one day. Now, when that happens, I have no clue, and that's none of my business. I'm just here to do what I need to do and get better every day, and I think I've done a really good job of that, and I'm going to continue to do a good job of that.
So, like you ended the season last year in Double-A. You think that's where you're going to start this year?
For the most part, I think I'll start there. Obviously, I have higher aspirations, but just with how my season went last year, I had a great first year of pro baseball. I got my feet wet. I didn't really know how it was going to go. I played in Wisconsin, and then it's pretty crazy. I was in Wisconsin. We were on the road playing in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And all of a sudden, after a game, the coach came up to me and was like, "Hey, Nick, you're going to Double-A. Your flight's at 6:30 in the morning out of a super small airport in Cedar Rapids, Iowa." And I was on a flight at 6:30 and ended up pitching in Double-A that night at 6:30 p.m. in Biloxi, Mississippi. So
that's awesome.
It's a very crazy runaround.
Is that the Shuckers?
Baseball. The Shuckers.
The Shuckers.
Sir. Yes, sir. The Biloxi Shuckers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's a very crazy runaround in terms of like all the travel and all the, you don't get a lot of sleep or whatever it may be. But I think it's just another opportunity for me to be able to go out there and show my best stuff and have fun doing it while I'm doing it. So,
yeah, I always feel like just from a fan's perspective, there's two things I want to say. The first thing is a total side note for anyone who's into sports cards and the hobby. I want you guys to please listen to this man and what he said. He had a great first year in pro ball. And if you go look at, and this applies to any prospect out there, because prospecting as far as baseball cards go is where all the money is for like collectors. But what I want to stress about the card side of things is this man literally just told us he switched from a 4-seam to a 2-seam fastball. He's developing. He's learning the pro game. He's not 100% dialed in on what he's doing. So for folks that stare at the minor league analytics and the statistics and things like that, you just have to understand that that's not what's important, because it's about the development process.
It is literally a work in progress, and I think for me, I am nowhere near my peak yet. I think there's a lot more for me to unlock in terms of my pitching ability, and I think that's just from going to work every day and focusing on getting better and focusing on the things that I may not like or may not think are as good as other things. And so that's why, to the average fan, a lot of people see, oh, he had a 7 ERA during the year. Well,
right.
You know what? There's a lot that goes into an ERA, and that is a very misleading stat for a pitcher.
Sure.
I hope everybody does understand that.
That's absolutely why I wanted to stress it, because a lot of people get.
I didn't have a bad ERA. Mine was above a 4 this year, and in my eyes, that's not good enough. I thought that was really I did not like where it was, for sure. I think that's for any pitcher that you talk to. Obviously, we're not satisfied with anything. We always want to be better. If to tell you the truth, if it's not a 0.00 ERA, we're probably not happy with it.
Right.
So,
but you're 24. Were you 24 this past season?
I was 23 this past
23.
So I turned 24 September, so the end of the year.
So just the point to drive home is you've been playing baseball for 19 years, and then just recently you changed. You're almost relearning how to pitch based on the data you're getting. So you've been doing something for 19 years, and now you're doing something totally new. And it's going to take a little bit of time to get the feel for it. I mean,
it absolutely does. And
I don't care about those numbers. How do you feel?
Right, exactly. And you can ask any pro baseball player. We don't care about those numbers either. We do not care about those numbers in the slightest. I've been told this a trillion times, and I couldn't agree more. One of the worst things a player can do is go look at the stat book. Go look at your stats. It's just it can be mind-boggling to you. It can put you in a bad place mentally, and so that's something I really try to steer away from. And that's something I've always told like my friends that play pro ball as well. Some guys would get caught up in like, oh, my ERA is a 7, and my advice is, dude, don't even look at that, because there's so much that goes into that you can't control, that really that's not something you should be focusing on. And don't get me wrong, I had to learn the hard way too. I looked at my stats before. Everybody has, but like that is something that I tried not to do during the year, is never look at my stat book and just go out there and pitch and have fun and continue to feel blessed that I'm able to do what I do every day. So
it's like the classic line from the Little League coach. Just go out there and throw strikes.
Exactly.
You just throw strikes. It'll work.
Dumb it down to the simplest terms that are going to help you get better, and that's what you roll with. So.
That was never helpful to me. Throw strike. Don't you think that's what I'm trying to do right now, Coach?
Exactly. And that's a good thing about like professional coaches that I'm working with, and college coaches too. If you're struggling on the mound, they're not walking out and saying, "Hey man, let's fill up the strike zone." Like they know we're trying to fill up the strike zone here. That is our job. So that is what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. So the next question I would have is, since we live in just a vastly different world in terms of technology nowadays,
right?
Even though you started in the lower levels of the minor league system, within that organization, like, do you get the same type of scouting information that the big leaguers get? Like, I would assume that's a big benefit.
For the most part, I feel as if like our coaching staffs and like our front office tries to reciprocate what they do in the big leagues with us minor leaguers, which is to help us prepare for when we do get to the big leagues. So we're pretty much used to it. Like before every series, when I was in Wisconsin and in Biloxi last year, we would go through scouting reports of all the hitters we were getting ready to face. And if we wanted to look at it more, we always had iPads on hand to look at certain things or see certain tendencies from hitters and stuff, and they do that in the big leagues too. So I think it's really good. Our coaches in the front office try and replicate what the big leagues are doing.
Did they have any type of tools like that at your disposal at Louisville?
Yes, we did scouting reports before every game at Louisville. So obviously in college baseball, on the weekend you play a 3-game series, and then you play one or two, maybe 2 midweek games. So we were doing scouting reports in college as well. Not as much in high school. It wasn't really a thing in high school where we had iPads where we were looking at stuff from the other team. But once I got to college is when scouting reports and whatnot really started for me. So I've been kind of used to those for a while now.
That's really cool though, because like high school, our coach had no idea.
Right.
No information's available. Like, oh, this kid's good. And then even in like my first year at junior college was the same exact way. We played doubleheaders, 7-inning doubleheaders. So it was Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Right.
And all we did was just try to get to the field on time. It seemed like for any road trip, it was like a scramble to get on the bus, get the buses, and get to where you're going.
There were bigger things to worry about than the scouting report before the game. No
and
doubt.
You had no idea who you were going to face or what they did or what they didn't do. And then being in the junior college, if you got to the field and you saw guys sitting there with guns, you're like, oh, we're in for a treat today because apparently somebody decent's on the mound. So
apparently somebody big time's out.
Yeah, so. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then you wouldn't necessarily know who, but you would after you see someone get pulled and they all left. Like the scouts would leave in the middle of the game.
That is a brutal thing for a lot of college baseball players. When the guy that they're there to watch is done, they're gone too, because I guarantee you they're driving an hour down the road to go watch somebody else.
So. Yep. Right. That was the biggest thing I always picked up on. I'm like, oh, so that's who they were watching, because they're all gone now.
100%. That's a thing for sure.
And then going to a major program, what'd they feed you guys while you were on the road? Like, what was that like?
So the University of Louisville did this really cool thing when I was there, where they built an athletic academic center where we could go in, get tutoring, we could study, just a lot of different like we had cubicles we could study in if we wanted to. I should say this first, my freshman year at the University of Louisville, everybody had to go through study hall. So that was, you wake up at 6 a.m. or wake up at 5 a.m., you work out at 6, you go to class until 12 or 1, you go to practice from 2 to 5, and then you go to study hall for an hour. But food-wise, we had an academic center with a cafeteria in it. So I was eating nothing but pretty much good food. Now, I will say my freshman year at University of Louisville, I put on some really bad weight. Like, I'm talking 20, 25 pounds, and I was, in my eyes and my peers' eyes, I was unathletic and out of shape. So my sophomore year is when I really dialed it in on how I learned how I needed to eat and what I needed to do for me to be the best person out on the baseball field. And we had a team nutritionist as well. So I attest that to my team nutritionist and my strength coach, and along as my coaches setting me straight and being like, hey, Nick, you're a little bit out of shape compared to what you used to be. Like, let's lock it in here. And my nutrition was a huge part of that. So, we were eating chicken, steak, rice, all the good stuff. And that's kind of what helped me develop being able to do that now as well. I don't like to eat out. I don't really like to eat a lot of unhealthy food. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a normal human being too. I like a cheeseburger just like everybody else, and I will go get a cheeseburger if I feel like that. But I also have the discipline to where I know what I need to eat and what is going to help me fuel my body and help me recover, because these days are tough, working out and throwing every day and going 100% in the gym. I'm sore every day for the most part. So eating food and the little saying, health is wealth, is very true in the game of baseball. Guys are getting hurt left and right. It's just part of the game, and you hate to see it, but it is part of the game. And so that's why being able to treat your body as good as you can really benefit you in the long run. So
Yeah, absolutely. Have you had any elbow or shoulder problems or anything like
I
that?
have. So
It just seems like from the outside looking in, a lot of just every prospect in general, because you see it even more with position players too. It's like
Right.
Tommy John is almost like a requirement. You almost have to get your UCL fixed to even get to the big leagues.
Right. So it does kind of seem like that, but that is not the truth. So my senior year of high school, I got a PRP injection in my left elbow. I don't know if you guys know what a PRP injection.
Plasma-rich platelets.
Yes, correct.
I don't even know why I know that, but
basically, well, a lot of pitchers do get it, and it's mostly for like, say I strained my UCL. I didn't tear it, but I strained it, and that is. So some people can just shut down and rehab and do some a lot of shoulder strengthening and not throwing, and it can re-heal. Or you can do a PRP injection, which is a needle that goes into your elbow, and basically what it does is you go into the UCL, you take blood out of it. They put it in a machine and spin the blood.
Spin it. Okay,
correct.
now, yeah, all right.
Correct. They spin the blood, and then they throw the bad blood away and then re-inject the good blood back into the UCL, which is supposed to quicken up the healing process. So I've gotten 2 of those. I got one my senior year of high school, and then I got another one my freshman summer. I played in the Cape Cod College Baseball League my freshman year. I was throwing a bullpen and felt it on one pitch and was like, okay, I felt something I shouldn't have felt. And I went home and got the PRP injection, sat down with our coaches and our trainer and got the PRP. And so I missed the rest of the summer league, obviously, and then missed all of fall ball that year, which isn't the end of the world, really. Fall ball is a very competitive time within your team. So I missed all of the fall, and this is my sophomore fall, and that's where I learned to eat right and where I learned how to work out because I was hurt. So I couldn't throw a baseball. So all we focused on was changing my body and working. I worked out twice a day for the whole fall and saw some really good results in how I was eating and how I was working out. And then I eventually started to work back into throwing and was good to go my sophomore year. So luckily I got these procedures done at good times for me to where I was able to still pitch during the season. So, so I have had a couple injuries in my elbow. I've also gotten a PRP injection in my oblique. I strained an oblique in college. That wasn't a super big deal. They put the needle back in you and fix you up pretty quickly in the oblique for that. And then
how'd that happen? Is that like some sort of twist in your windup, or?
So it actually didn't happen from pitching.
Or was it like a comebacker gone wrong?
No, it happened over Christmas break, and I was actually training for at Louisville. The day you come back from Christmas break, you have a conditioning test, and it's no joke. To preface that, on day 1 of my freshman year, my first day of class, you also run a 2-mile. And if you don't pass the 2-mile, then you keep running the 2-mile until you pass the 2-mile. So from the first day I stepped on campus, it was all business, no doubt about it. So back to that, though, I was at home working out and training for the 300-yard shuttles and doing a lot of running and a lot of rotation and a lot of I like doing ab workouts. I like working my core a lot because I think a stable core as a pitcher is super important.
Especially with you being a taller guy, I would assume.
Exactly.
You have more to stabilize.
Being able to be strong from here to the bottom of your stomach is super important as a pitcher, in my opinion. So I was training for that, and I started to feel some really uncomfortable, like little almost shooting pain in my oblique. And so that's when we went and got an ultrasound and got it looked at. And they were like, yeah, you strained your oblique and a PRP might be the best thing, which eventually got me out of those 300-yard shuttles. So thank you for that. And then, it was good to go after that. But I also broke my ankle my freshman year of high school, absolutely, completely snapped it, had full reconstruction of it playing basketball. This is, while we're on the topic, this is a dad story of mine that I will never be forgotten, and I will tell it for years.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. That's what I'm here for.
So we're in the middle. This is getting ready for basketball season. So it's open gym, and it's pretty much freshmen to seniors in there. And so my dad was dropping me off. It's my freshman year, and the first thing he looks at me as he's dropping me off, he's like, "Hey Nick, this is open gym. Like, let's not go in here and get hurt now, okay? Like, let's be smart. You know, this isn't the season. You know, you're just here to sweat and run and shoot some shots and get your work in." And I'm like, all right, of course. And so anyway, it's pickup basketball for the most part, and the coaches are just watching and evaluating and seeing what guys are doing. And I went up to block a shot off the backboard, and I blocked the shot, but came down and absolutely just snapped my ankle in half. My dad was in the gym far, far away watching and watched this happen. And my dad, being the tough guy he is, walked out of the gym, didn't help me get to the car, nothing. So I hobbled my way all the way to the car, and I remember like it was yesterday. My ankle felt like it was just like basically like hovering back and forth, like hanging on by a string. So I got out to the car and I sit in the front seat, and the first thing he looks at me and says is, "What did I tell you?" Like just basically laying into me. And I'm like, "Dad, like, I think my ankle is like seriously hurt. Like, I need you to take me to the hospital now." And that wasn't the case. We went home and he shoved it in a bucket of ice and water, and I slept with a broken ankle. And the next morning is when we went to the hospital. And as soon as I got there, they were like, "Yeah, that thing like needs full reconstruction, like ASAP." So that's a story I'll never forget. And just a testament to kind of who my dad is. You know, my dad is by no means a dickhead in no way, shape, or form, but he's a hard-loving man. That is for sure. And,
I love this guy. I don't even know him. I love the guy.
He's a hard-loving man, and he was showing me tough love in that moment for sure. So that's kind of the injuries I've dealt with, and I've been very blessed to be able to pitch throughout all of my seasons for the most part.
That's awesome. When you broke your ankle, did you have to have any plates or anything?
I have 6 screws inside my left ankle. Yeah. No. Yes, sir. Yep. And that was a long rehab process. So that's kind of what started the no more football. And I loved playing football. My dad was a huge football guy. He played in college, played in high school, played as long as he could remember.
Right.
But he didn't get to go on and play. He had 2 hip replacements, 2 knee replacements. So he got banged up like I did. And once we kind of saw that, we sat down as a family with my mom and dad and kind of discussed like, hey, you know, football may not be your route going forward. And this might be the best time to step away from it. So that's when I ended up stepping away from football. So
you had to miss some of your baseball season then?
Actually, I missed I missed some baseball season and eventually made it back. The good thing was it was about like a 6-7 month recovery in total once I got the plates in and everything and got back to doing the rehab. For the most part, you can rehab an ankle pretty quick. It just you have to kind of re-put it together before you can start rehabbing it. So I didn't miss a whole lot, but I missed a lot of my basketball season. And I think I might have played in like the last 2 games of basketball before I went on to baseball. So I actually didn't miss any baseball, but I missed a good amount of basketball, and it is what it is. But I'm all good now. Everything's healthy. You know, ankles are back to complete mobility and everything. So we're all good now.
Awesome.
That's good, man. Oh, so now that you're in the minor leagues and being on the road and the lower level of the minor leagues, what kind of food do you get to eat now, or what's available to you? Because
the Brewers do a really good job of getting us good food for the
and
most part.
I don't want to throw them under the bus or anything like that.
No, they do a great job of feeding us. Like at the complex, when we're all there, like in these days where we're working out, we have a full-time nutritionist there, and we have a few full-time cooks there. So we get breakfast and we get lunch at the field, and it's for the most part all very healthy stuff that we're eating, and stuff that's going to help fuel our bodies. So we get breakfast and lunch, and then I take care of dinner, and I like to cook or make dinners at the house. So I'll make chicken, steak, spaghetti, all kinds of different stuff like that. But the Brewers do a good job of being very nutritious with us for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, really, when you look at it, it seems like when you look at it from the outside, it seems like there's no reason not to, because literally when they draft you, you're now an investment for the organization.
Right, exactly. We are an investment, and like I said, health is wealth, and eating is a part of your health. So they do a really good job of trying to help us get benefits from what we're eating and what we're putting in our body.
Yeah, what's your daily routine like right now down there?
So I wake up at 8. I get to the field at about 8:45. We have breakfast from like 9 to 9:30, and then after that, you get like 45 minutes to 50 minutes of like activation, basically warming your body up, stretching, doing whatever you might need to do. Everybody's routine is different, and then we'll play catch and throw. And then, like for me, because I'm in a velocity program here, like today we did some off the mound velo. This was my second time off the mound this off season, and just kind of seeing where we're at, making some throws at full intent, and seeing what happens. So I did that today, and then after that, after you throw or do whatever you need to do in terms of toss and whatnot, then you work out after that with all the trainers in the weight room, and then you eat lunch and head home after that. So it's a pretty simple day. I'm usually gone from the field at about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and usually on the golf course about 2 p.m. So
nice, real nice.
So when you're down there in Arizona, do you have to take care of your living arrangements?
No, so the Brewers do a really good job of that as well. They have a team hotel, and they also have team apartments, or you can live out, and they provide live out money. So
sure.
So I have a roommate, him who plays for the Brewers as well. Him and I decided to live out this spring training, and we have a 2-bedroom Airbnb in Tempe, Arizona, which is about 20 minutes from the facility. And he has his car out here, and my car is getting shipped out here currently. So we just make the drive to the facility every morning.
Yeah.
And then come back to the house, and it's either play video games or go golfing for me. So
no, that's a good deal, man. It sounds like it's a really good deal, because it just seems like the stuff that gets the most attention is the negative stuff.
Right.
You know,
it
that's
does.
all.
It does.
You know.
And there is negative stuff, no doubt.
Sure.
But that's, I don't think any organization is perfect. So like the MLB, the minor leagues, nobody's perfect, and they're still working on things, trying to help us out. And there's people who are advocates for us minor league guys, trying to help us as much as they can. And, we really do appreciate that type of stuff for sure.
You swing left-handed clubs?
Absolutely. Left-handed on the golf course. That's the only thing I'm swinging. That's for sure.
Yeah. Did you have to go get them extended?
So, so that was actually a graduation gift for me from my dad. My dad is also a huge golfer, and that's something him and I spend a lot of time doing together in the off season. It's just something that brings us really close together. We play golf in Cincinnati, obviously in the off season months, which would be September through January for the most part. It's pretty cold in Ohio, but my dad and I are not afraid to go play golf. If the sun's out and it's above 30 degrees, we're on the golf course usually for the most part. So that's something that have brought my dad and I really close together, and just something a love I've developed over the past 2 years is playing golf. But he took me to get fitted for clubs, and so I have some really great golf clubs that I'll use for a really long time.
Who beat who?
It's a little bit of back and forth. My dad can get me sometimes, no doubt. My dad is the most classic dad golfer you've ever seen. Hit it in the fairway, hit it into the fairway again, then put it on the green, and it never fails. He does that every single time. So I'm the guy trying to hit it as far as I can.
Yeah.
So sometimes it doesn't work out for me like it does for my dad.
What's your handicap like? Do you know what your
I do. Yeah. I actually in 2020, when we had no baseball, I played over 100 rounds of golf. My handicap's a 9.2 right now, which I like where it's at right now. I played yesterday and shot 80, missed a birdie on 18 for 79, but my goal usually is to shoot 85 or lower for the most part.
Right.
And that makes me feel good about myself on the golf course for sure. So
yeah, that's like fast enough to keep moving.
Right.
You're not
right.
sitting
Exactly.
there going,
and that's the other thing. I try to play at a good pace. You know, I'm not on the PGA Tour here trying to impress anybody. I just literally love golf like I love baseball, and it's fun for me. I also like to play by myself a lot too. Clear my head, throw my headphones in, listen to some music, and shoot some golf shots by myself. And that's especially really nice to do in Arizona because all the golf courses are pretty much background is mountains and just really cool views. So that's something I like to do as well.
I'm pretty lucky. I have a golf course right by my office. It's like literally like a 2-minute drive, and it's not the greatest golf course.
That's okay. That's okay.
The greenkeepers have been keeping the grass really nice the last few years, and awesome. It's really inexpensive. It's like $20 with a cart.
That's
but
fantastic.
It's so perfect. I can sneak over there at lunchtime and just take a long lunch and play a 9 really quick and come back. And
that's a good feeling.
But like you said, man, it's so perfect. Like you're on a stressful day, you can just go out there by yourself, just go hit some golf balls, come back, and it's just like, all right, this was all right.
Exactly. I like to go to the range a lot too. Even when I maybe won't play, I can go and hit golf balls all day long. So as you can see, my 2 hobbies are video games and playing golf for sure. So
it's pretty amazing, like the whole analytics thing, just like with baseball.
Right.
Now you go to the driving range. You go to the driving range, and here's like this screen there. Exactly. It's pretty interesting how
it is.
You can go there and figure some stuff out, and
you really
it's a lot different than just going and smacking some balls.
It is. It's
wild.
Pam, you still with us, bud?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, dude. Your internet's doing its thing again.
It's I used to live up by Brad, like in the town right next to him. A few years ago, a buddy of mine called me with an opportunity to start a business, and I was like, "Yeah, man, let's do it." And he's like, "Okay," but he wanted to bring in this one of his other buddies that lives. We live in this town. It's Earl Park, Indiana, and it's like maybe 250 people total. It's just 7 blocks.
Town. Gotcha.
Yeah, 7 blocks total each way. So it's really it's a
village.
Yeah.
It's
so like right now they're doing expansion for like a fiber network. So eventually someday we're gonna have fiber, but it's really slow because they don't crap about us.
That's awesome.
So like our internet. The way they do it is they have a tower, basically like they tag onto a cell phone tower or something,
right?
And you're basically running like a wireless bridge, basically a huge Wi-Fi thing, and it's just terrible. So this is what I get. This is what I get.
It seems to be like you're working with it, so that's all that matters.
It's nice because you know how. You come from Cincinnati, so Cincinnati is like a small big city, right?
Right.
Where like I really enjoy. One of the nice things is like where we were at, where Brad and I lived, being a Cubs fan. that you could go to Cincinnati and watch the Cubs play at the Great American, which
is a great
beautiful stadium.
I love
fantastic.
I love watching baseball games in Great American.
It's amazing. So if you ever, obviously you probably don't. What team did you root for growing up?
I was a diehard Reds fan growing up, no doubt about it.
Big time Joey Votto, and
big Joey Votto guy. Yes, he's a menace to society in the game of baseball.
I love his. He is a work ethic guy, right?
He is,
and he's a great example to.
He's a definition of put your head down and work hard, no doubt.
Yep, and he still has fun. That's what I love about him is that. Like you watch the videos, he is a guy that has a lot of videos where he's interacting with the fans quite often.
He does. He does a really good job of that stuff.
I love it. When you see him, it's like that's a baseball guy. He 100%. Has that kind of aesthetic where it's like that's a baseball guy. That's what you expect to see out there. So I hope that I can kind of get the feeling from you that that's kind of what you're going to bring to the table.
I definitely think that's something I'll bring to the table for sure.
That's awesome, man. Hey, congratulations. I know it's like a ton of hard work. Obviously, we've been talking to you for a while about it.
Right.
And to get drafted and be going through, and I was looking. It looked like you had a really nice end to the year last year.
I did, yeah. I think it's not really how you start, but how you finish. So that was a big focus of mine going into the season, and something I really wanted to harp on, and just make sure I was staying focused. It was getting towards the end of the season, but just being able to stay locked in the whole time is something really beneficial.
So, like right now, you're starting.
Yes.
And
yes, sir.
So like when they, is there like a pitch count that they want you to get to?
For the most part, they just kind of feel it. We feel it out together with the staff, with the training staff, with the pitching coach, and with me. I never threw over like 100 pitches in a game last year. I don't think I might have thrown like 105 like once or twice, but that was towards like the middle of the year where I'm in really good shape and in the shape to be able to do that.
So with being in shape, like what kind of like exercising do you do? Because obviously you're not going to be doing like bodybuilder type things or anything that.
I do. So back home, I work out at a place in Cincinnati called Pro Force Sports Performance. It's about 10 to 15 minutes from my house, and it's a very nice facility with a lot of and basically everything I would need to be able to train in an off season, and that's a main reason why I don't leave Cincinnati in the off season for the most part, is because of the trainer I work with and the facility he provides me and what I'm able to do in there. We have 200 yards of turf, so I'm able to long toss inside.
Wow, yeah.
In the winter, which is super nice and very beneficial. But in terms of workouts, like one day I'll do a lower body workout, one day I'll do an upper body workout, and Monday's usually lower, Tuesday's upper. This is when I'm at home, not right now, but
sure.
At home, Monday will be lower, Tuesday will be upper. Wednesday's kind of like a mobility stretch yoga type day. I like doing yoga, so
sure.
Being a pitcher and being flexible is super important too. So that's kind of like a recovery day in a sense. Maybe some running or something light like that, but not a ton of getting under a bar and squatting heavy weight or anything like that. And then Thursday's usually a lower body day again, and Friday's an upper body day. But within all of those days, we do arm care every day. So shoulder stability, shoulder mobility, all that type of stuff. Just basic pitcher's stuff that you're supposed to do every day to help strengthen your shoulder and strengthen your arm. I do that every day as well. So
That's awesome, man. It's really awesome just to pick your brain on stuff like that, because
Absolutely.
you don't know. And not to talk football, but Devontae Adams for the Packers made some headlines about posting route, little cone drills and things like that on your Instagram. He's like, no, it's what you do behind the scenes when nobody's watching. And I feel like that's a point that gets lost on a lot of people, because
100%.
Especially the younger kids, not necessarily you, and you're really not that much. I'm only 31. You're not that much younger than me.
Not much. Not that much.
But even the younger kids that have grown up with, like, at what point did you get a smartphone?
That's a good question. I think not until high school. Yeah,
because I still had a flip phone in college. Like I had like a clamshell phone. It had like a full keyboard on it, like a physical keyboard.
I got one in high school, but I didn't get a phone until 8th grade. So, but once I got to high school is when I got a smartphone.
So we're kind of in that period now where every young athlete has a phone and is probably just trying to get noticed, And
yes, absolutely. And social media is huge in recruiting nowadays, apparently. So, I never really saw it for me because I wasn't having to like post videos and stuff.
You kind of already knew what was up, right?
But like you are your own brand in a sense. So like for youngsters who are trying to get recruited and want to get recruited, like social media is a great platform for that to happen. I've seen it happen for a lot of guys. I mean, I've seen free agent baseball players get signed from like Twitter videos of pitching and stuff like that. That is a thing, and I think it's a really cool aspect to that type of deal for sure.
Yeah, very cool actually. Because
I think it shows like the effort that someone would put forth to be able to maybe earn a job or have someone notice them. And, like I said, you only get one chance at this life thing. And if that's something they want to do and that's their best route, then all the respect to them. You got to do what you got to do.
Hey, that's literally how I got you on the podcast, basically, in a roundabout way.
Exactly.
Not exactly sports related, but it's absolutely something. I'm a relatively nobody. I don't have a backing, or I have a follower and a great customer base and awesome people I work with. But in terms of actually like, hey, Pav, me and Pav talked about doing this podcast for 2 or 3 years before we actually started to do it. We aren't that far apart in age either. We grew up one town over, but didn't meet each other until we got into sports cards.
Gotcha.
So it turned into one of those.
That's so cool that brought you guys together.
One of those small world things. Yeah. So it's like, hey, now let's do the podcast. So we do the podcast, and it's been going great. And then it's like, what's the next evolution? It's like, hey, let's see who we can talk to and who wants to talk to us, because it just helps. It's great for me. I'm a curious person, so I think it's fantastic to actually talk about it. I got to play at a high level, not professionally, but I got to play at a reasonable level, and it's really cool to talk baseball. And it's like, okay, but how the hell do you start? Like, where's square one?
Yeah, where is square one?
Who do you talk to? Who do you ask? What do you do? Like, I know a few major league clubhouse attendants, but it's like I'm not asking you to bother play. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
you're right.
Because I casually talk in passing by or just conversation. It'd be like, hey, so and so's really cool. Hey, so, maybe don't try and even ever talk to so and so.
Right. I think a lot of pro baseball players and baseball players in general. I think that they like to get their story out there too. So. Because, the average fan doesn't know the story behind every baseball player. So, like opportunities like this, I think are great to be able to. I'm not here to talk about myself or like boast about myself, but I do like letting people know, where I come from, what I value, and certain things like that. So this, just as well as this is a great opportunity for you, I think this is a great opportunity for me as well.
Absolutely. And just so you know, when we do eventually get this posted, I'm going to have all your social links and stuff. I'll do my best to find some new people to keep after you.
I'll be reposting for you guys as well. I want everybody to be able to take a look at this and be involved as well, for sure.
It's like from my side of things, like I am what you would call a case breaker. So I get cases of sports cards, I sell them, and then I open them up, and whatever team you buy is who you get.
Sure.
On this podcast, this is a creative outlet for me. When we did our biggest episode to date on Bowman draft breakdown for this past draft class, my co-host, this fine man over here, literally said, do not buy into any breaks for the product, just based on how we broke down the product. I did a 4-page write-up on all the information I could find on the some of the top guys drafted and things like that.
That's awesome.
And at the end of the day, year over year, just checklist wise from what Topps did in producing the product, they kept 9 first-round players out of the product in autograph form. So
really?
We all know that baseball, just because you're drafted in the first round, doesn't really mean anything, especially in baseball, more so than any other sport.
Correct. Just means you got a bigger signing bonus. That's all it means. Until you're there.
Right. Everybody's starting at the same spot, that's for sure.
Historically, though, they only keep a few players out, and usually it's the second overall pick, and they did that this year with Jack Leiter to put him into spring Bowman baseball, which is like their flagship prospect product.
Sure.
But this year it was just like there's a lot of pitchers. There's a few hurt pitchers, like the Blue Jays drafted a kid named Hoagland, who is mid Tommy John rehab. Yep. And I believe there was another guy. That's why I made the joke earlier about it seems like you have to have it done to get to where you want to go.
Trust me, there are a lot of guys getting TJ nowadays, and it is a beneficial surgery for sure. It's a lot of rehab and a lot of time from not getting to throw a baseball. So
right, but it was just a weird thing that this year's was like such a down year. Pav tells people don't buy into it. I sold out everything I had as fast as I could list it, and people just don't matter. But the point I want to drive home is that like we're not here to push any sort of agenda. I'm literally here trying to hurt my own business.
Right. Trying to hurt my own business.
Like just come hang out, because it's like
absolutely.
if anybody wants a platform to come on here and tell a story, because I like to talk. I love telling stories. I love hearing stories.
Absolutely.
This is the place to do it. So, do you have anything you want to say? Anything you want to add to the conversation?
I don't think I do. But if you guys have more baseball questions, I can sit here and answer them all day long. No doubt about it.
Do you collect at all?
I used to. When I was a youngster, I used to collect cards. I have boxes full of them at home, no doubt about it. I did used to, but as I got older, I kind of got away from it a little bit, and that's kind of why I think collecting cards is a cool thing. I think, like, obviously when we're at games and whatnot, we have people coming up to us with our cards and stuff, and I think that's just like a good part of the game and helping grow the game. So I think that's really cool that you guys do that.
It is cool, and at the same time, I absolutely hate it. And that's probably a hot take, and I hate it for you guys. I don't hate it for the fans. If it's a kid, I love it. If it's a grown man, I have no use for it. And you should just turn your back to every one of them, even me, unless I have my kid with me, because I saw something today on Twitter, and I do not know Phil Hughes at all, but someone posted or tweeted a picture of 2 of his baseballs, and the person wanted to buy them.
Yep.
Didn't tag Phil, I don't believe. And they said, which one of these do you like better in terms of the autograph quality? Because it was a little spotty. And he actually retweeted it and said, I don't know if he said I recognize those baseballs or something like that, but he basically said, I signed those poorly on purpose because I knew the person was going to sell them.
Right.
And that's the part I hate.
That happens a lot, no doubt. I mean, yeah. I'm sure it's happened to me a bunch. I'm sure it's happened to a lot of my teammates a bunch, no doubt. Like, yeah, we definitely have adults approach us asking for autographs and whatnot. And, in my opinion, I'm literally too nice to say no. So
that's kind of what I was getting at.
And especially like if an adult is up in my face asking me, I don't really know how to be like, no, I know what you're doing with this. Like, obviously, I could blatantly just call them out, but that's just not who I am. So.
Right, and that's not necessarily in the moment the best way to go about it, because then they could turn around and say, we paid money to be here, and you know.
Right, absolutely. You know, it's they can turn it however they want, but I think any fan that approaches, you know, you just do the right thing and sign the card for them, and you know, maybe they're not using it in their best interest or your best interest, but it is what it is. I think that's just part of the game for the most part, and that's just something I've accepted, really. So
yeah, I'm gonna put something on the screen real quick, Pav,
sure.
just to show you guys what I was talking about. But this was it from earlier. I don't know if it will zoom in. So here we go. So earlier today, so this guy Joey Procell, shout out to Joey Procell. He said, "All right, hobby fam, I need some help. Can't decide which ball I want to get signed." And he tagged Card Purchaser, who's a big time facilitator account on Twitter. They'll help you find something you're looking for if you need help. And Phil just saw it and said, "Let me send you one." Those are both sloppy autos because I knew the guys were flipping them. I love it.
That guy's been there before.
Absolutely love it.
He knows.
When I saw that today and I cracked up. I said, "Good for him." I wish more people would do that.
That's a good way of going about it.
Yeah, because you give the guy what they want, and then you give the guy what they ask for, but you know that they're not going to get what they want out of it.
Exactly.
But if all they wanted was to have the ball here, like I have a Chris Bryant World Series baseball sitting up here on my mantle, I'd never sell that if I was homeless.
Absolutely not. That's a great piece of memorabilia. So
yeah.
It's funny because, like, Phil, I'll tell you, Phil Hughes probably just made a fan for life, too, out of it, right?
Absolutely.
It's one of those things. Did. When I was a kid, we went to a Chicago Cubs game. My dad took me and my brothers to the Chicago Cubs. And, like, outside of Wrigley at the time, there was a player's parking lot, and it was fenced around with this privacy fence, but it was big chain link. So, like, you know, Sammy Sosa comes out, and everybody wants Sammy Sosa.
Hold up, Pev. I don't know. Did we lose you, Nick?
Am I still there?
Your voice is there.
There's no video.
Okay, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Hey, if you need to do something real quick, man, it's not a big deal.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm coming back right now.
Still got sound. That's fine. Brett just disappears when he goes away.
How about now? Am I back? Am I back?
Yep.
All right, fantastic.
Yes, sir.
Like, there was, you know, Sammy Sosa comes out and everybody wants Sammy Sosa, and Mark Grace came out. Everybody wants Mark Grace. And it gets so crazy. You know, all these – I'm a little kid. I'm probably about 10 years old at the time. And all these adults and stuff are pushing you against the fence, and you're getting crammed against the fence and getting smashed and all this stuff. And those guys would come out. They would sign a few autographs real quick. And there was a player that made a lifetime fan out of me named Frank Castillo, which most people would never know this guy's name. But
I can honestly say I don't even know that name. So,
right. So he pitched for the Chicago Cubs, and he was like the last person out of the locker room at the end of the game. And he came out, and he went down the fence row, and it was really cool that, like, basically every little kid that was there that was asking for his autograph, he was signing. And it was really neat because I had this Frank Castillo. I bought a team set of cards at the game, and I pulled out the Frank Castillo, and I shoved my hand through the fence, and it was like art by all these other people's arms and hands and everything. And Frank Castillo reached under all these other people's hands and all their stuff and grabbed my card and sent my card and made sure to hand it back. Lifetime fan, Frank Castillo, just because of that. And it was like he wasn't
absolutely
a great player. He obviously, in standards, he was a great player. He made it to the MLB and pitched professionally for a long time.
Sure.
But in MLB standards, he was just a mediocre pitcher that had staying power for a long time. But it meant so much to me as a fan.
Right. It meant more than just the game of baseball. Absolutely.
It was like to what I was saying earlier. I would feel super awkward just asking anybody, knowing that I'm an adult, to the point where there's one person from my high school that made it to the big leagues, and he played for a few years, and he was actually out of baseball and trying to get back when I was a senior in high school, and we got a brand new high school the second half of my senior year with a field house. So we're in the field house working, and all of a sudden this dude walks in there, and he's like helping us out, and we're letting him use the facilities. Really cool. He's like, you can't believe like how in shape physically he is. You know, I'm like, wow, this guy's very presentable.
Right.
This is big league baseball right here. This is the first time, you know, a poor kid gets to check it out. You're like, all right, cool.
Sure.
So I have these interactions with him. He actually is our third base coach, or our first base coach, one game because our assistant coach had to go to his kid's Purdue graduation. So he had to miss
awesome.
one. He had to miss one of our games. So this guy's our coach. I graduate, go to college. I never talked to this man again. Go live life. I ended up being I quit 2 colleges, graduated an apprenticeship. I'm a journeyman boilermaker for whatever that's worth, working in a steel mills, things like that. I don't do it anymore, but that's what I did, and that's my fallback option should I ever need it. It's available to me. But I started getting into the cards, and in the downtimes between releases, because when I first started out, I was still working full time, and by full time I mean 80 to 100 hours a week, nonstop. But in the trades, it was the first time I would ever be laid off. So as an adult, I always had a job. In the trades, you get laid off. You go work for a contractor that has a specific job. Once the job's done, you get laid off. So I didn't know what to do with downtime. I've never just sat on the couch, and that's what they say, you know, make all this money while you can, and then just sit on the couch and go back to work when it's time to work. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't have that in me. So, So I started messing around with the cards, and it started expanding and expanding. But in the beginning, it wasn't very busy, and it wasn't anything crazy, and I wasn't making money, and that's not even why I started in the business. But in between release periods, I would buy like old boxes from the 90s and the early 2000s. Well, we opened this box of 2000 Tops, and a Larry Bigby card came out of it, and that's the gentleman, and it's his rookie card, and it's like a full upper body shot. And to everybody, I think it was only like a 6-spot break. I think I did it by divisions because it was just something cheap and fun for people to go down memory lane. And I was the one that went down memory lane. I'm like, oh, wow, this is awesome. So I asked whoever it was, I'm like, hey, can I buy this card from you? I didn't even know it existed. I didn't know it was in a set. I didn't even know it would be the guy that I know. So they said, just keep it. Okay, so then I reached out to Larry, and I'm super weird about asking people for anything. I said, hey, Larry, I don't want to bother you. I hope everything's good. I said, if I send this to you with the return postage and all of that, I'm like, would you sign my card for me? He's like, dude, absolutely. He was like super cool about it. But I was just like, I felt super awkward because I'm like, he goes, I don't think you could make anything off of my name anyway. It's like what he said. So I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So yeah, that's something that gets to sit in my office. And it's one of those things that it doesn't mean anything to a lot of people, but to me, it's very cool. But it does to you,
and that's what matters.
Yeah, and that's what I really like about the hobby. But especially with COVID and the pandemic, and you just seen so many business-oriented people come into the space, and they're changing it, and we'll see how that changes in the long run. But it's like, oh, now it's a lot more. If it's not making money, we're not having fun, and that's a lot of the new the new people coming in, not just my customers, but just new people into the hobby. It's kind of like, man, this sucks sometimes, because why does it always have to be about the money?
I can see how that's evolving that way for sure.
But it's good. I mean, it really is good, because there's cards that are selling for millions of dollars.
Yeah, which is crazy. I think that's incredible.
It's nuts. Golden crazy. Posted that they're looking for a 101 logo man autograph of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. They said they haven't seen it for like 8 years. Like, we're looking for it. Anybody sees it? Yeah, because that's just sitting in someone's box they forgot about in their closet.
Yeah.
Literally,
it's pretty wild. We do some local card shows every now and then.
Oh, that's
Brad
cool.
And I. And it's pretty wild when you're sitting at the card show and you have these cards set up, and young kids come in, you know, anywhere from 8 to like 15 years old, and they'll carry around these black suitcase, like a hard shell suitcase, and they'll come up and they'll be like, "Hey, do you want to buy any of my cards?" You tell the kid, "Sure, I'll take a look at your stuff." You open up his case, and he's got $150,000 in cards sitting
it's
there.
Crazy,
and it's like a 10-year-old kid, and you're just like, what the heck is going on?
He doesn't even know how much it's worth. He just has it.
Some of them do though. Like some of them are really savvy.
It's wild. It's wild.
That's kind of cool.
It's real wild. You like these kids, it's like, dude, you got your whole college tuition there, man.
Paid in that suitcase. Don't let anybody take it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the crazy thing for me is like, but you're at a show with a bunch of other people. Really, these are smaller shows that we traditionally do, but it's insane, for all these little kids just walking around with $100,000 suitcase. And it's like,
right.
What the heck happened to the hobby? I mean, really, we've seen a huge transition where there's still hobby. There's still hobby to it, but it is much more business now, and a lot more people are treating it as business where they're actually investing in things. And like, did you see the Logan Paul thing with like the Pokemon case of cards?
I did see that.
Right. So, I mean, that's a serious investment. When you're talking about the guy that bought it before him bought it for $2.8 million. And then he sold it for 3.5. So that's real investment type money.
That's incredible.
It's insane, and you saw it turned out to be fake. So like you have that element. You're always going to have that element to it because there's always.
I was going to say that element's always going to be a part of it, right?
Yeah. You always have. It's just like anything, right? You have good and evil. It's always
absolutely.
There. So, like, that's one thing that Brad and I do. Like, I told everybody that watches our thing not to buy into his break. So, like, that's because, I'm honest about things. And it's like, hey, look, to be honest, with Bowman draft, basically with any kind of card release, there is a spike in the beginning upon release where values are really high. And then they come way down. And then they kind of plateau out, and then they'll slowly increase as guys actually have good careers and stuff like that.
Right.
So, like, what's funny is I told people not to buy in, and then I immediately bought into his first. I couldn't get a spot in the first one, so I got a spot in the second one. But, like it's fun. So, like, there always is that if you go into it understanding, like, hey, it's gambling at the same time, right? Especially breaks and stuff. So it's like, it's fun because even when you gamble, he did send me some cards, so I still got some stuff. I didn't get the big money card that I was hoping for, but it happens.
Fully legal, by the way.
Fully legal. That's right.
I do everything on the up and up. There's a lot of things in the hobby that are done that are not on the
legal,
up and
I'm sure. I'm sure of that.
So I just want to say I pay my taxes. I do everything right. I've been harassed over $18 before. It's wild. I had to spend $12,000 to prove $18.
That's
all over a paperwork mistake that I didn't even make. It's crazy.
Part of the business, I guess.
Yep. So do you have any of your own cards? Does your dad have any of your own cards?
Yeah, so my mom and dad have some at the house, definitely, that are laminated and, in a very my mom has like a keepsake of all my gloves, all my stuff at the house. And I mean, there's nobody else I would want more than to have that stuff than my sister, my mom, and my dad. So
I was just going to ask, do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a sister. She's 17 months younger than me, and we are very close with one another for sure.
She any type of athlete, or was any type of athlete?
She was volleyball or something, right?
Huge dancer and volleyball growing up. Now she's a designer. Fun fact, I don't know if you guys ever saw the the breast cancer cleats I had this year.
I did not.
They're on my Instagram somewhere. You can see them. Well, my sister designed them for me. And then I also have a tattoo on my chest for my mother, and my sister designed that for me as well.
Very cool.
She's a fashion designer, but anything that I want to get done, as in tattoos or a custom pair of cleats or something like that, she's my go-to designer, and she does a fantastic job. So,
very cool. Yeah, well, pop those up when you get them, Brad.
I'm trying to find them.
So like
right now,
I was gonna. Okay, because you mentioned it. What glove do you wear?
So I use Wilson CK22. It's Clayton Kershaw's model, but I use only Wilson gloves.
Does he know you don't throw a curveball anymore?
I haven't broke that one to him yet, but yes, I use his glove, and I've used it since college. So, and then Wilson was nice enough to grant me with a glove deal. So nice. I get Wilson gloves during the year. I don't know if that's happening again this year. Just because there's a lot of shortages going on in that terms of that stuff. So I don't know if the contract continues or not, but if it doesn't, I'll still continue to wear Wilson either way. But I was blessed enough to be able to get that my first couple years in pro baseball, and hopefully continuing forward as well, because I love the gloves, and I have a lot of them. I have a pink glove on my Instagram as well, somewhere, and my sister helped me design that as well. That was dedicated to my mother. Basically my whole professional first year of pro baseball was dedicated to my mother in terms of the cleats I design, the glove I wear, and some other personal things that I do. So yeah, there's the glove right there.
Oh, why is it? Oh, there we go. There we go. Sorry.
If you go to the next picture, you might be able to see it better. I'm not sure.
Let's see what we got here. I lost.
I'm trying
you
to
said
think.
You have how many gloves do you actually use during the season?
So last year I filtered through 4 different ones for the most part. I used the pink one a lot just to express myself on the mound, and who I do it for, what I do it for with my mom. And then I had 3 other Wilson ones that I used as well. One was a yellow and navy blue, so Milwaukee Brewers colored glove, and then I had 2 just stock Wilson gloves that I like to use as well. But I filtered through all of them for the most part. I like to show love to all my gloves, so all of them got used a decent amount during the year for sure.
Who breaks them in?
Me, myself, and I don't really let anybody put their hands in my glove. I always
awesome.
I always get it pro stiff, which is which allows you to break it in how you want to break it in. So I'm the only guy putting my hand in my glove for the most part. I am that guy who doesn't really like when other people put their hands in my glove, just because it's formed to my hand and it's for me. So you know what? Go use your own glove.
Yeah, and some of them guys, they got them sweaty hands, man. You put your glove back on, and it's like, what did you do to this thing?
My hands are getting just as sweaty too, but guess what? That's me, so that's okay.
Right.
Yeah. What's your? I was gonna say, what's your break-in process?
Honestly, I don't really break my glove in a whole lot. I basically will play catch with it to break it in, and then I'll form it how I want to form it. But I don't really use any like oil or anything like that. I kind of just break it in from playing catch and letting the ball break it in itself.
Yeah, so you don't do the dip or
as a
nothing
pitcher,
like that.
I don't need a super broken glove. Like if I'm catching a pop up in the infield, we have a big issue. So I don't really have to worry about that. Mainly all I have to worry about is fielding bunts and balls back at me and covering first base to catch the ball, which I always make sure my gloves are capable of that. So it's not a super hard process for me, and it's pretty much just play catch to break it in. And then I'll use my hand. I like to flare out the front of my glove. So I'll flare out the front and kind of push in the back of the mitt, but that's about it. It doesn't take a lot of work, really.
How big of a glove do you wear?
I use an 11.75. Some guys use 12. Some guys use 11.5. I think 11.75 is the perfect for me. I think 12 is a little too big, so I've used 11.75 since I was in college.
Nice. All right, I do have some questions. So I asked, I made a post in my group earlier over on Facebook today. I said if you could ask a pro ball player anything baseball related, what would you ask them?
Sure.
And I got some questions that don't apply at all. Then there was, so have you dealt with tops at all in any capacity?
Yes, I did. Right when I got drafted, basically, is when I dealt with them. I really haven't been in contact or anything with tops since then, but that was definitely something I was doing right when I got drafted, which is obviously when my card came out and whatnot. So that was a big ordeal back then. But
to your knowledge, is this the only card that you have so far? This Bowman draft card? This is actually a draft Sapphire card, which is the same product, just a special
weirdly
release.
Enough, I've seen a lot of different cards of me, and I have no clue where they're coming from. But that is the one I've seen. But people have other ones somehow, and I'm not exactly sure. But because I'm not really big into the card game anymore, so I don't really know how it works. But I have 100% seen different cards that are like really cool cards, and I'm like, can I get my hands on that too, or what?
Have you dealt with Panini or Leaf?
I have not with either of those.
That would have been my guess. Would have been like a company like Leaf, because they do a lot of unlicensed stuff, but they get a lot of players, at least so prospects,
maybe they were,
and
maybe they were
international guys that they get them to sign those. So you would have known because you would have signed for them.
No, I haven't signed any of those. No.
You did. Were you part of the Perfect Game thing?
Is that like the high school stuff?
Yeah.
That might
like Perfect Game scouting,
like the tournaments and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I played in some tournaments, but I was never a showcase guy. I didn't really play in any showcases, to be honest, because I was always playing different sports. So
gotcha.
I never really got into the showcase circuit like some guys did. But a lot of guys that I know have were in it, and they loved it and got some really cool stuff from it. I always was watching that stuff and thought it was really cool. I just was never really involved with it.
Yeah, that's they make baseball cards for that.
Okay.
It's pretty interesting that you might get some 15-year-old's jersey on this baseball card, and it's pretty wild getting stuff from kids that young.
Yeah, I believe that happens. I'm sure.
They're just the note with that I do know for a fact, and I just want to say it. Those kids are not compensated at the time for those Leaf Perfect Game autographs, to my knowledge, because they're still amateurs.
Yeah, exactly.
So just to put that out there as a disclaimer.
They're not getting compensated for that.
They're signing for the hype and out of the goodness of their heart.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
So I do have some questions. This one, it might not. I don't know. We can use it in a different way. So it says, what's the most difficult jump in levels in the minor league ball? But really, you could take it from high school to college, or from college to rookie ball, or rookie to low A, or however. Where have you noticed the biggest change in competition?
High A to double A, definitely.
Yeah. And I wanted to say this earlier, and I didn't really get to it, but from the outside looking in, it seems like once you get to double A baseball, the opportunity to get to the big leagues is just an injury or something odd away. Like,
it really is. There's a lot of guys that do go from double A to the big leagues and skip triple A.
And not so many people know about how in-depth the minor leagues are at the lower levels, especially before they did the whatever they did, the rebalancing of all the systems.
Right.
The contraction.
Right. I will say, I think if I do start in AA and do get an opportunity to go to AAA, I also think that is going to be a really big jump.
Sure.
And I say that because there are a lot of big leaguers who play AAA baseball.
Yeah.
And make a great living playing AAA baseball.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that will be a pretty significant jump as well. But I think a lot of your guys in AA are like your big time prospects and guys that organizations really like and whatnot. So I do think when I was in high A compared to AA, I did see a lot of differences in terms of hitters, in terms of strike zone awareness, in terms of pitches that they're swinging at, in terms of how hard they're hitting the baseball, in terms of what they look like in general. Some of these dudes are humongous. I was
going to ask, just like from the teammate's perspective. I don't want you to rag on anybody that you've been a teammate with before, but like how they approach it at the AA level as opposed to any of the other minor league levels.
So I was in AA for a good amount of time last year, but yeah, I think like you said, AA is usually some older dudes, which are guys who've played baseball for a little bit longer period of time. And so I think the approach is a little bit more mature, and they kind of understand how it goes a little bit more than guys at low A or high A. I think low A and high A, there is a lot of like raw talent, and then once you kind of get to AA is where it's the raw talent being put together with like the baseball IQ and the mental side of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems like that AA is like the big hurdle.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, and I've never and again I've never been in pro ball, but that's just like how it looks. Is like it seems like once you get there, it seems like as long as you can play there, you can as long as you continue to do everything that you've been doing to that point.
100%.
Right. That's like you see. It feels like when you hit AA, that like you guys said, you can make the jump to the majors.
Definitely.
Whereas you rarely see guys come from high A or low A up to the major league. That it'd be a really rare occasion. You know, it seems like AA.
Has it ever happened? Honestly, because you'd have to be on the 40-man roster and all of that. There's a lot of things that go along with that.
I don't know if it's ever happened, but like I played against a guy this year who literally touched all levels. He was in low A, he was in high A, he was in AA, he was in AAA, and he made it to the show.
Who was it?
His name's Spencer Strider.
Yeah.
He's with the Braves, I believe.
Yep. Autographs. Bowman. He is a Bowman autograph guy. I know the name.
I pitched against him in AA, and then I heard his story and thought that was just really crazy. So
yeah, to go through all the levels in one year.
Yeah. I think that's just incredible. That's a testament to him for sure.
Good for him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great for him. Yes.
Shout out to Spencer Strider wherever you're at, buddy.
Absolutely.
So the next question is actually a really good question, and I don't know if you've ever felt this way. Having the upbringing that you brought, or having the upbringing that you had with the dad who wasn't afraid to challenge you. How many times did you almost quit? Did you ever want to quit?
Never once been a thought in my head ever a day in my life, and it won't be. They will have to take me off that mound. So that's for sure. That will never be something that I've never been a quitter in any sense of the term.
I had a feeling how this was gonna go. It's great though.
I
love it.
Sense of the term. So they'll have to drag me off that mound when I'm done. So.
We've touched on a lot of these just through natural conversation. So what's it like? So once you got to AA, did you get sent back down to high A?
I did, yes.
So what's that like? How'd that conversation go?
It was a very tough conversation. I'd be lying to you if I didn't sit in my car for an hour and literally question everything I was doing.
Absolutely.
But I was told it didn't really have a factor with how I was performing. It was more of a numbers game in that sense, and kind of just part of minor league baseball for the most part.
Sure.
But I went back down to high A and stayed focused and did my thing. And I don't hold on to that or anything. That's just part of the game. And
Sure.
did it and moved along with it. And it is what it is. And just keep trekking along.
Because really, just looking at everything we talked about, it seems like that's the only time you've ever really been kicked into pants, so to speak. So
for the most part, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, so
definitely. Like I said, I'd be lying to you if I didn't sit there and question if everything I was doing wasn't enough.
Right.
Now, quitting never came into my mind, but I questioned myself and had some phone calls with my mom and dad. And
what'd your dad say to you? Because I assume that him challenging you earlier in life helped you deal with that a little bit, and then being able to talk to him as an adult and a professional.
And that's the thing, he was basically like, you could sit here and make excuses all you want, or you can just roll with the punches and go back down and pitch and do your thing. And that's exactly what I did. I finished the season great. I had a great last three. I was only back in high A for 3 weeks, the last month of the season, basically, and had a great 3 weeks. I have a lot of great teammates in both places, so it was good to be able to be back with the guys, no doubt. The situation may not have been what I wanted it to be, but it's roll with the punches and move along. It's in the past now, and just focused on getting ready for the next season. So,
yeah, man, it's exciting. It
is. It's approaching quickly, so very excited. But yeah, my mom and my dad are. My mom's more soft spoken than my father, that's for sure. As you can assume that, But yeah, like my mom had good advice about it, and my dad had good advice about it. So we kind of just rolled with the punches, and the worst part about it was like the logistical part about it, because I had my whole life in Biloxi, like all my clothes, my car, and I had to drive from Biloxi to Wisconsin. So even in terms of like the baseball, that wasn't really even the worst part. Because they're still giving me an opportunity to pitch, still giving me an opportunity to show what I can do. So I wasn't bothered by that. It was more the stressful part was, okay, I have to drive however many hours back to Wisconsin. I have to find a place to stay, that type of stuff. So
yeah, do they help you at all? Like find a place to stay?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So yes, they did a great job of that, but. In the moment in time, I was obviously a little freaked out.
Oh, absolutely.
Not knowing, okay, I have to go back there. I've already been there. The whole 9 yards. But it's just part of the game, and ups and downs, part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That was like that was literally like more along the lines of this question. Shout out to Charles Dyson, wherever you're at, buddy. He's everywhere. He's a good dude. Orioles guy though. Yeah.
Awesome. That's all right. That's all right. Hey. I gotta respect that.
I can too, because they're not doing so good,
Right.
So that's how you really know they're a real fan.
They're gonna be good. I promise. I have a good buddy I give pitching lessons with back home, who's a minor leaguer with the Orioles, and he's a hell of a ball player, and they have a really good farm system. So
what's his name, if you don't mind saying?
Drew Rom. He's a high school kid. Rom, R-O-M.
R-O-M.
He's a high school kid from Kentucky, really good left-handed pitcher, and
nice.
He was in high A and double A this year with the Orioles, and he'll be up and coming, and they have a lot of other guys who are up and coming as well.
Yeah, they've had some, at least from the draft side of things, they've had some high draft picks for quite some time now.
Yeah, so you don't like to hear that, but they have. So
right.
Yeah. So, like, you're in Arizona right now. How many other players are down there with you?
There's probably like 30 to 40 of us at the facility every day, I would say.
How many coaches do you have?
There's a lot of coaches at the facility as well. I'd say between 20,
Oh my
15
goodness.
and 20 probably. Yeah.
That's
In terms
good
of
though.
like that's just like in terms of staff in general, like coaches, trainer. We have a lot of trainers because a lot of guys are doing rehab right now, considering it's off season. So
Sure.
guys who were hurt are doing rehab and whatnot right now. So we have a lot of rehab coordinators there, and it's a good staff. We got a lot of guys there.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but regardless of what happens with the lockout, you guys will still start on time, yes?
Yes, I believe that is the case. Minor leaguers aren't affected by the
Right.
lockout. It's
Right.
just guys on the 40-man roster. So yeah, we will not get affected by that.
I thought so. I just wanted to be certain of that because you're basically at like an early spring training right now.
Basically, yeah. Spring training doesn't start for another month
Right.
and a half or so. But yeah, just pretty much out here early to get my work in and be able to be in the warm weather instead of being in Ohio. So.
Sure. Yeah, it's cold here. It's about 10 right now here.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Was it like an invite thing, or is it?
So I've been a part of this like velo program since the end of the season. So this was like part of my plan to come out here for this. But the camp, the velo program I'm in right now is only like 2 weeks, I think, 2.5 weeks, and then they asked me, they were like, hey, we'd like you to stay and continue to work on your off-season progress here at the facility with us. So,
do you ever have downtime from throwing, or do you just throw through the whole year?
So after the season, I took 25 days off before. There's a lot of studies coming out saying, taking a ton of time off isn't good for your arm. So I took 25 days off and then back into the throwing routine. And then we have different days. Like we have lighter intensity days, higher intensity days. And then we get the weekends off, Saturday and Sunday. So those are usually no throw days as well. So that's always nice to be able to recover the body.
So what, like the spring training, do like new people show up like right now, like new people showing up right now even?
Like as in new draft guys and stuff, or
just guys that maybe decide, hey, you know what, maybe it's time I get out there. And
yes, there are some. Like as the weeks go on, we'll start to see more and more guys filter in, definitely.
Right.
But right now, I think the group that's here right now will be here until, because we don't really have official spring training dates yet. Right. So guys are still kind of just at home working out for the most part.
Is it mostly pitchers and catchers there with you right now, or?
It's basically pitchers, catchers, and then guys who are rehabbing, whether those are position guys or pitchers. And then there's some hitters here too that are here hitting with coaches and working on other stuff as well.
How do you like to work on a mound? Are you a slow guy, or do you like to get the ball and go?
No, I'm the absolute opposite of a slow guy on the mound. The more time you give a hitter to think, the more things they can think about.
Absolutely.
More time they can think about what you're going to do. So for me, I just grab the ball and go pretty much.
Absolutely, yeah. If you can continue to grab the ball and go and change pitches and locations and all of that, you as a hitter have no chance.
I usually have a plan for my next pitch before I get the ball back from the catcher, so I'm pretty much ready to go.
Yeah, and with you saying that, do you ever argue with your catchers over what you want to throw, or do you?
No, I'm usually I like to think of I'm one of the nicest people I know. So me and the catcher usually never have any issues like that, arguing what I'm throwing. We're usually on a very, very good page together to where they know what I want to throw. These guys are pros as well, so they know us very well. Right. That's part of what a catcher does, is being able to know what the pitcher wants to throw and what his tendencies are and what he wants to throw in certain positions. So And our catchers with the Brewers do a really good job of that.
I just wasn't sure because you said you literally will throw anything in any count. So
yes, I will.
Specifically for a guy like you might
right.
have a harder time getting on the same page with your catcher.
Right. Well, that's where most of the catchers know that's
or
what I
is
like
it
to do.
Is it like a given day where like, hey, my sinker feels better than my changeup today, so
Definitely. There's 100% days where one pitch feels better than the other, or maybe even one pitch is literally non-existent that day. Like I had some really bad struggles this past year with throwing the changeup in games. Like, and many times during the year, I was throwing literally two pitches, just the fastball and the slider. And you just have to kind of work with what you have that day. You know,
Yeah.
you're not going to be a perfect every day, so you're not going to have your whole repertoire every game.
Right.
So, and that's just something you kind of have to know, and that's like a mental hump you have to be able to get over.
So on a game day, being a starter, what do you do on a day like from the time you wake up almost on a day you know you're starting? How does your day go?
So I get to sleep in as long. I don't usually like to sleep in super late, but I don't have to go to the field as early as everybody else. I usually show up to the field about an hour and 45 before the game, but I'll wake up, I'll make breakfast and a smoothie, then I like to stay off my feet, so I'll usually go back and sit in bed.
Okay.
I won't fall asleep or
Sure.
anything, but I'll sit in bed. I'll have my water bottle with me, just hydrating as best as I can throughout the day. And then I'll head to the field, usually get there with like an hour and 45 before I start. I'll eat lunch. I'll sit down and relax for like 15, 20 minutes. And then usually I go into the training room and start my process of like warming up my arm and warming up my body. And then about 30 minutes before the game is when I go outside and re-stretch and long toss, and then head into the bullpen about 10 minutes before the game starts.
So how much do you like to throw in the pen before you're ready to go?
It depends on the day.
Okay, absolutely understandable.
Depends what I'm feeling that
Yep.
day. If I'm throwing all 3 or 4 pitches for a strike and putting it where I want to put it, I'll throw 15 pitches. If I need to throw 30, I'll throw 30. It's not always they're not all at high intent, so I'm able to do that. I'm able to manage how many I need to throw or want to throw in the bullpen, but I obviously want to break a sweat, but I'm not out here trying to
Right.
put all my energy into the bullpen. So
yeah, there's just some people that need to burn some of that energy off in the bullpen before they get out there, you know.
Exactly. So sometimes you can get on the mound and be a little too excited.
Yeah. Yeah, like it seems like when the turn baseball's slowly been changing just in terms of velocity, just as far as pitching goes. And when you started seeing some of those big time velocity starters, like a dude from the Rockies comes in my mind, Ubaldo Jimenez. You remember that guy? He would show up on the first inning throwing 98, 99, nowhere near the strike zone. And then whenever that guy could get locked in and throw strikes, it was like a horror show. I couldn't imagine being a batter. It'd have to be absolutely horrifying to see that guy putting a fastball where he wants it and then dropping some sort of off speed on you. And it's,
that's the thing. I've seen plenty of guys that have had to deal with that type of situation in minor league baseball as well. But like I said, everybody's trying to learn and kind of figure their own selves out. So it's almost like a game of trial and error sometimes. You don't like to think of it that way, but it can get like that sometimes.
But luckily, you get afforded that opportunity in baseball, though, especially the way the process works. It's not like, hey, I'm a high draft choice. I have to be at the highest level right now. You know?
Exactly.
In football, your draft position is expected to perform in the NFL.
Right.
You know.
Right. Like I said, it's all about development for the most part.
So you get to go work on some things. You could talk with a guy like you said you're friends with another lefty in Baltimore. Right. How much do you guys like feed off each other?
I learn a lot. I learn a lot from like hitters for the most part, like guys on my team that are hitters. I'll pick their brain to just understand like what's going on, what they are thinking about, because by no means do I think all hitters are the same in any way, shape, or form, but they all have different approaches for the most part. But
Absolutely.
It's good to just pick hitters' brains and see what they're thinking in the box, which just helps give us cues of maybe what other guys are thinking as well on the other team. So.
No, absolutely, it makes a ton of sense.
But I like talking to pitchers too, for sure. But I feel like I learn a lot more from hitters and catchers. So.
That's what I always like. Whenever we would like scrimmage in college with each other, I would always love to talk to the pitchers after the fact, because that's about the only time where you can really talk to the guy that was trying to get you out.
Right, exactly.
Like, hey, what were you doing? Why were you doing that? Why'd you throw that slider there? Why'd you throw me a changeup when it was 3-2? Like,
that's the beauty of playing your own team, right there.
And they'll go, yeah, because I knew you'd swing at it, stupid. Like, you got me.
Because they're your friends, so they're not afraid to say that too.
Right. But when you're going to battle against another team, those guys don't want to.
No.
You're trying to win a game.
Right, exactly. We're trying to win the ball game for sure.
How important is winning to the players in a minor league level? Because I know the organizations will say they really don't care. They want to see the players develop. Right. But I mean, as a human being and a competitor, you have to want to win at all times.
Yeah, exactly. There's always that competitive edge of wanting to win, but we also know like this is like a part of our progression, pretty much. So, and you play so many games in baseball, you're not going to win every game,
right?
And you're not going to lose every game either, because anybody can beat anybody in baseball. But yeah, I mean, everybody has their own competitive edge. Sometimes, it's not super talked about or anything, but in the back of your mind, you're always trying to win the baseball game. So, or be able to do what you can do to help the team win the game. So,
absolutely. Like how much do you see, and I feel like this gets weeded out really well, especially at the college level, but how much do you see bad attitudes in professional baseball? Like, not anyone specific, but like how much pouting do you see? How much attention?
Guys, like there's a lot, no doubt.
Because baseball's a very mental game, I understand.
And I mean, everybody again handles that differently.
Right.
Like you have youngsters who don't really know a whole lot or haven't seen a whole lot of adversity in the game of baseball. So when they do see it, that they handle those situations differently than other guys do. And I mean, don't get me wrong, everybody has their own way of doing it, and they have a right to be able to do that. But there's a right way of going about it and a wrong way of going about it. I know a lot of guys within my organization handle it very well, behind closed doors, basically.
Sure.
Not showing up the rest of the team and kind of going away from whatever, like say they strike out or something, they're not going to explode in the dugout. They'll go into the hallway or wherever they can get away from everybody else and handle their business, and then come back in and get ready to go play defense or whatever it may be. But yeah, I mean, baseball's a very frustrating game. Don't get me wrong.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Like there's been times where I've handled adversity poorly, no doubt about it. And but yeah, everybody handles it differently, and I've seen it handled a lot of different ways in
I'm sure
professional baseball. Not a lot that I can openly say on here.
No, I don't. Not at all.
But
no.
Yeah, but everybody handles it differently, and that's also the beauty of the game. Adversity is a part of the game. 3 for 10, you're in the Hall of Fame. So
right.
So yeah, it's definitely interesting to see. I wouldn't say it's weeded out in college, because I almost see it more in pro baseball than I did in college baseball, because college baseball is preached team.
Yeah, I think maybe that's what I meant more so than worded out. Is it's addressed maybe better or policed a little bit better. Like, hey, this is not acceptable here. Like, we all understand.
In pro baseball, you're treated as an adult because you are an adult. You're in the real world working a real job, and so you handle things on your own. In college baseball, if that happens, you have a captain of the team or a coach or somebody saying something about it. So I think it's more relevant in pro baseball than it is in like college.
Do you ever see any like negative competition where like somebody's trying to get ahead of another like teammate, or does everybody try and help each other along?
I think I've never seen that from my few years being in pro baseball. I think everybody's pretty helpful to one another in the most part. The rosters are what the rosters are,
Right, and obviously there's going to be a
there's
million
no one,
personality types, and
there's no player in the locker room that's going to be able to change the roster because we don't control that. So
right,
for the most part, I've never seen any like, I guess you would say like jealousy issues or stuff
sure.
like that. I don't ever see that. So
This really wouldn't apply to you being a pitcher, but do you ever see like I can't, how does it work for position players? Like, are there like guys that basically just ride the bench the whole time, or is it like constantly trying to get them playing time no matter what?
for the most part, everybody plays. Yeah, we have extra guys that do sit on the bench, but they're not sitting on the bench for long periods of time. Everybody, if you're in a uniform, and you got a name on the back of your jersey and you're a player, you're gonna get a chance throughout the year. Because like you said, you're an investment. So
Right.
We're not here to just let you sit on the pine the whole year. So everybody pretty much gets opportunities. Now, some guys get more than others, definitely.
Sure.
That's how all sports work. But everybody
Yep.
is getting a chance for sure.
I just didn't know if any
Yeah.
sorts of things, like especially when you get into the later times in the season when
Right.
you're getting more tired and crabby and sore
Right.
and beat up.
Absolutely.
And then you got Joe Fresh on the bench that's been hanging out,
Right.
and he's like, "Can I get some at bats?"
Right. Now, he probably already got at bats, and he's going to get more. So yeah,
Right.
everybody gets a chance. At least that's what I saw in my first year. Everybody was playing that had a jersey on.
The only time I wonder what it's going to be like in AAA when you got guys that are like you said, have been there, that make a career out of it, right? They're playing 115 games a year in AAA,
Right.
and you're going to have guys that come up and cycle through. Maybe it's just a stepping stone for them, right? The team's moving them. They're going to go here and then move up. I think maybe that might be the only time where you might see a guy that might sit a little bit even, but not like you said, I can't imagine too much, huh?
And it won't be long because, I mean, rosters aren't filled with a ton of guys. And like I said, we have bumps, bruises, and small injuries all the time. So it's always the next man up for the most part.
Do you have any goals headed into next season?
Goals headed into next season would be just be the best version of myself in baseball and outside of baseball. Whether that's, pitching in AA the whole year or pitching wherever they may put me the whole year or making a move, no matter what that is, just being the best version of myself and being where my feet are and not worrying about anything else that I can't control. I don't really have specific goals. I'm not here to say, oh, I want to punch out 150 guys in a year. I don't care about that. I just want to be the best version of myself and continue to be a good teammate and help some other guys out as much as I can as well.
Do you have what's the best piece of advice you give to anybody young coming up, high school kids or college professional hopeful players?
Pretty much what I've been saying the whole time. Keep your head down and focus on what you can focus on and what you can do. Like I said, in the game of baseball, there's a lot of outside factors that you can't control, and you have to really realize you can't control those factors. So I just think it's keep your head down and never be satisfied with where you're at ever.
I love it, man. I really do. I'm so glad that you joined us on the podcast today, man.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Is there anything else? Anything you want to say? Anything?
I think that's it. My vocal cords are running low on me now.
I know I'm putting you to work today, man.
No, this is fantastic. I've loved every second of it.
This was a great time, dude. I'm sure I have a million more questions, and I'm sure we skipped a whole bunch of things.
And if you want to bring me back for more, I'm more than willing to come back and answer more. No doubt about it.
Absolutely, man.
We'll probably give you a call a few times. We'll be keeping a watch. We'll be watching.
Now I'm stuck, dude. This gets to go in my box to get forgotten about, bud.
Absolutely, I love it.
So I'm super pumped. The funny thing is I had this particular box. It's a 2020 Bowman Draft Sapphire box, and I opened it up for myself, and they went up there on a shelf. And then my sister started working for me. She's like my shipping department. And we were slow. I'm like, hey, I need you to start doing some stuff. So I'm like, here, sleeve and top load all these Sapphire cards because you never know. Just please do that.
Sure.
So she did. And then when I was texting you yesterday, I was really at the gym. And I was on the treadmill. And I just looked because somebody said you had a card. And I didn't recall one because I go through tons of cards. So I'm looking. I found one. I bought one.
I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Well, I bought a card, and then I came home.
And you had one.
And I started going through that stack. I'm like, yes, I got him. I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, he's gonna know who he's gonna know that I know. I'm like, here we go. I'm like, awesome. I got it. So now I have two, which is even fantastic. Better. So that's great, dude. I appreciate you coming on so much. Like I said, I'm gonna drop your socials in the description for the people to find you.
I'll be sure to repost it all, and hopefully you guys find some new followers for your podcast as well.
We'll figure it out, man. I appreciate the heck out of it.
Absolutely.
So everybody, have a good night. We'll see you guys later.
God bless, buddy.
See you guys.